You all right over there? You gonna be okay?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm rolling.
Are you? You look like you.
No, I'm just. You know what I need? I'm thinking about hiring one. I need like an executive assistant.
Okay. Well,
What do you used to call them secretaries, but then everybody's offended by that now, so you can't do that anymore.
I mean,
so what do we?
Secretary? Would they be an executive assistant?
Well, that's the thing. You call them. They're secretaries.
Well, a secretary would be like someone who sits at a desk. An executive assistant can be someone that would like travel with you.
Drive me around.
Yeah, do a lot.
That's kind of what I need.
Okay.
Anybody want to do it?
Now, what's the pay?
$70,000.
I tell you what.
No, you're not. Not you.
I'll do it for $69,900. Yeah,
it's probably worth that to me. Not $69,900, but it's probably worth it to me though to have one. I've got so much going on.
You have kids?
That's part of the problem. Like I got to leave here to go take my kid to school when I could just have the EA do that.
I feel like you should be at a point where you could just say, "What is Ethan gonna do with himself?"
Ethan's matriculating to Towson University.
To do what?
Yeah, I think he's still in the process of finding that out.
Okay, he could be your executive assistant.
Right. He already is. The problem is that he doesn't do any things I want him to do. But he makes it. That's about what I pay him.
Good morning. It's Glenn Clark Radio. I'm Glenn. He's Drew. Griffin's here. Hail, the gang's all here. Who won the football game this week?
Oh, the Ravens game? Yeah. Are you talked out about that yet or no?
I'm so talked out about it. I'm so...
I don't...
What do you want to say? What do you want to say?
Well, I'm going to say the same thing I said after they lost the first game, the second game, the third game that they lost. They lose the same way. They lose the same way every time they lose. Every time
that's not true.
Yeah, it is.
That's not.
Oh,
that's not.
100%.
What do you mean they lose the same way?
Every time they lose a game.
This is nothing like the Raiders' loss.
Penalty, missed field goal.
Penalties, sure.
Botched. They always lose the same way.
No. They gave up 1,000 points in their other losses.
But that's the only difference. It's the only difference. But they always lose the same way. It all works against them. They miss a field goal or two. John does something insane. And I know that 2-point thing might not have been on John per se, but it's his guy that he employed. Like, what are you doing with this play?
It's a bonkers play.
What are you doing? Just line up the big fat running back and his tailback and hand the ball.
Who's the big fat running back?
The fullback. And hand the ball off to the running back and get 2 points.
Maybe.
But
at least have
right,
options.
But here's the thing, right? I was okay with Lamar. I'm always okay with Lamar controlling the ball. I'm always okay with that, right? I don't. This is not like Peter walking across the water when Jesus said, "Get in the water and walk," and Peter doubted it. I don't doubt Lamar. But so I'm glad that he handled the ball. What I wasn't happy with is the play was dumb.
The play was stupid. It was incredibly stupid.
Just if they do an A gap, if they hand the ball, if Ricard bursts into the line and they hand the ball off to Derrick Henry and T.J. Watt or James Harrison or whoever's on the team still, I don't even know. If they bust through the line,
James Harrison still.
And if they bust through the line and they tackle Derrick Henry at the 1, I would have said, okay.
The idea is that they literally have plays called RPOs.
Correct.
So that you can see what's happening.
Correct.
And decide if they're crashing.
But if they did
and
that,
then say,
if they handed the ball off to Derrick Henry and he needed to get 2 yards and they made a play and they got 1 yard, I would say, okay. I mean, you did the best thing you could do. You gave the ball to the second best offensive player on the team. I get it.
Right.
When you do this crazy thing the other day where the 2 wide receivers are standing there beating on each other, I didn't know what was going on. And I know that he ran the ball to the left against the Bengals, and that play worked, and they got the 2-point conversion. I get it. But the play was designed to go to the right and Lamar run to the left. They tricked the Bengals. That's the Bengals. I don't understand why you would have a right-sided athlete ever, especially if it was supposed to be a potential throw. Why would you ever have the guy run to his left? Doesn't make any sense. But anyway, that's how they always lose. In some ways, I'd rather them just lose 38-6.
No,
I would.
You don't. It won't make a difference. I'm not saying that you'd rather them lose close. Nobody feels differently about it.
I would rather them just 38-6 wasn't our day. Pack it up. We come back. We here we go. On to whoever we play, the Chargers. Losing this way every week, where you just give them the game on a silver platter, is insane. But it is. I mean, we're very, very close. Did you watch the Sunday night game?
Yeah, I did watch.
I mean, that's totally Bengals going to Bengals. 27-6, getting their ass handed to them, come all the way back, should easily now win. This dude misses 2 field goals. They give up a drive. They lose. Bengals going to Bengals. We're very, very close to getting the Ravens going to Ravens.
This is very interesting to me now. You've actually I can't believe I'm saying these words. You've made this interesting because you're creating a scenario.
We're very close to Ravens going to Ravens.
But this is not this season, or because the Justin Tucker part of it is new.
Okay, but I would say,
in fact, in the John Harbaugh era, it's been
what
the
games did they what games did they lose last year?
They lost to the Browns once.
They lost to Gardner Minshew, of course.
Yeah, they lost to the Colts. No, the Colts.
Right?
Yeah.
I remember.
I would have said Jags too.
All right, they lost to the Colts at home in overtime. It was an overtime game, right?
Yes.
It was early in the year.
Yes.
Might have been their first home game. It was early in the year.
Second home game, I think. They were
okay. So I don't even remember they lost. I mean, I'm not asking you to make a point. I'm asking you because I don't remember. Where did they lose to the Browns? In Baltimore?
Yes. And then they also lost at the Steelers, the drop game, 17-10.
Yeah, they dropped every football.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those were the 3. Sorry, and then they lost to the Steelers in week 18
because they didn't
at home.
Right.
Yeah, no one remembers that game. No one cares. So they lost away, and then they lost 2 home games. I don't even remember how. Didn't they lose to Cleveland in overtime at home also, or was that not overtime?
I believe it was overtime. No.
But it was close.
No, that was regulation. But yeah, it was.
It was 30-27,
33-31.
That one was the one where they had the big second half lead, and then all of a sudden Deshaun Watson decided to become a quarterback for the first time.
What year? Oh, right. And didn't Perryman or somebody make a? Was it Perryman?
Was not on the team.
Was somebody made a crazy catch for them? Might have been a Njoku. I don't remember. What was the
probably,
year? And then is the year before? Was the year before the Dolphins and the Bills?
Yes, 2022. They lost the home to the Dolphins.
That was when they were ahead 51-6.
Blew the 21-point lead, right?
Right. And the same thing with the Bills.
They were up 20-10 or
20-7.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I think they were up 20-7.
They were up like 20-3.
You might be right.
At halftime.
It might have been 20-3 or it was 27. Anyway, we're getting very close to Ravens going to Ravens. I'm telling you.
You're saying that, but you're not creating the connective tissue between.
Sure, I am.
You're just creating. They lose football games sometimes.
But they always give them away. They give them away. They just give them away. Like they can't make a stop when they need a stop. They miss a field goal. John does something insane.
How teams lose.
And here's what else happens. Well, maybe that's not how Jacksonville lost last week.
Right. So you could just lose all of the games.
Right. Well,
that would be the choice.
That's an option.
Yeah.
And then you also have what is also very apparent. There's always a call or two, and I'm not a referee basher. These calls the other day were insane. They were insane. Both of those guys were down on the ground. Both of them.
Which one?
Justice Hill and the other dude.
Justice Hill one was they got the call right.
No, they did not.
They
absolutely did not.
I did the frame.
And the
likely one they got wrong.
It was insane.
100% they got
and then
wrong.
they go look at it.
Well, they didn't have an angle.
And it's still not. They did. They had the same angle I saw.
Right.
He's on the ground.
The angle that says to us by 99.99%, he's definitely got his forearm on the ground. The problem is that one I'm going to forgive them
these
for.
Dudes, these referees, I'm telling you on Monday morning, I'm convinced. I'm getting very close to
now we're just saying
ready?
things.
No.
We're just saying
You don't even know what I'm going to say.
Okay.
I'm telling you that on Monday morning, they get all the people come. I don't know what time they have to be in at work in the NFL office. 8:30. At 8:30, there's a conference room there, and they close the blinds. They close the door. They close the blinds, and there's coffee and donuts, and they all come in and they sit around. And Goodell goes, hee.
Yeah.
This is the greatest thing in the world, isn't it?
This is what we're doing now?
This is the greatest thing in the world.
This is who you're going to be?
This is it.
This
is it. They all sit around and they go, is this the greatest thing ever created or what?
Yeah.
Every game except for Jacksonville, every game comes down to the wire. Every game, the referees do something stupid. Every game, the coach does something dumb. Every game, there's controversy. Mm-hmm. it ain't pro wrestling, but it's pro something.
This is what we're doing. So just how much did you bet on the game? How angry are you?
Very.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get to. Yeah. Anything else?
It was insane. I can't believe we lost to them. They got nothing.
I agree with that.
They have nothing.
I have it.
Their defense is good. Now I'll give them credit.
Defense is good.
Now
but
look,
their defense isn't otherworldly.
Okay, but no.
It's
But
good.
let's
Right.
just let's at least say this.
Yes.
Forgetting the
And
two
their
missed field
kicker's
goals.
all of a sudden really good.
Incredible. Forgetting the 2 missed field goals. Let's pretend like we made those, and we have 22 points.
Yeah. Holding.
That's still.
Well, this is considered one of the statistically one of the greatest offenses of all time. Holding this offense to even 22 points. Look, but what they do is they make plays. That's what they do, and that, by the way,
their defense is good. I'll give them credit.
That's defense, and it is not helpful to have a statistically very good defense.
Here's
right?
what I would.
Holding teams down in yards. That's it. As every person has said that knows this sport, it is not predictive. You can't control that. The rules don't allow for it. The league doesn't want it. Just saying, hey, we're going to have a statistically stout defense isn't going to help.
No, they make plays.
But what they do is they
on
make
third
plays.
and 6, they don't let you get 6 yards.
Correct. They make plays.
Here's what I would say, and I wrote this today. The one thing that you start to see this, you start to look ahead a little bit, right? We're in December now almost. You start to look ahead. We could wind up going back up there again.
It's possible.
Which I definitely don't know that I want to do that.
You know, it's
because we'd lose just like this.
You know, it's really
we'd
funny?
lose 1917.
They have a game and a half lead in the division with only 6 games left, and yet they are only slight favorites to win the division. And
they play the Bengals twice and the Browns twice.
Right.
They're going to lose at least one of those, if not 2. I think.
I don't know about that anymore. Like to the point about the Bengals.
They're not going to sweep all 4 of those games.
I think you're.
They're not.
They're
not sweeping all 4.
If they
sweep all 4, they're winning the division.
Correct. If they do,
they'll be 5-1 because we'll beat them at the end.
Although they still have the Chiefs and the Eagles in their other 2 games. Like
they're away, and Eagles is away and Chiefs is home.
The schedule is really difficult. They're
going to finish with 5. They're going to finish with 5 losses. Problem is, so are we.
Who's the other one that you're giving the Ravens?
Probably this Monday.
It's possible. It's possible. Like it's possible.
We're not finishing with 4. That ain't happening. We're just not. We're somewhere along the way we're stubbing our toe.
Like I get it.
Eagles are going to beat us 24-21 in overtime, or the Texans are going to beat us on Christmas Day. Because John will challenge something with 2 minutes and 8 seconds left. He shouldn't, and it'll cost us a final timeout.
I feel like they always. Oh, I did take that back. They don't always win on Christmas. They lost the
Steelers
Antonio
game.
Brown
Yeah.
game right on Christmas.
But anyway,
I was about to say they always win the holiday games.
I would say if Pittsburgh loses 5, right?
Right.
We only have right now, we have 2 division losses. Pittsburgh would have to, because if we split with them.
Right. Correct.
So we're still kind of alive, but I'm telling you, we're going to finish as the 5 or 6 seed. We just are, unless there's a miracle.
Well, yeah, depending on what happens on
miracle's
Monday.
a strong word,
Monday,
but right.
Like
Monday's
if
a huge game.
If they lose Monday,
we're in trouble.
Then they are in trouble for the 5 seed,
right?
Like they are, because if they win Monday, they're the 5 seed.
San Diego's got the same record as us.
Right. It's still not San Diego, but that's okay.
I mean, LA. Sorry. And are they? Can you find out what they're wearing Monday night? If they wear those uniforms they wear Sunday night, we ain't beating them.
Trouble. That's a great point. Great point.
If they beat us on Monday night and now they have the edge, and we have to, and we're 6, Pittsburgh's definitely finishing 3. They're not going to beat out Buffalo and Kansas City. They're just not.
Right.
So I don't know, man. I don't think I want to go back up there because we're going to lose the same way we just lost. We're going to lose. You know what we're going to lose up there? 7-6.
7-6. 13. They were all 13-10 for a few years.
Tucker will miss 3 field goals, and a snap will hit him in the face or something.
What is your take on them just pretending that there's no? I mean, and I say that they're not publicly just sticking by Justin Tucker and making it seem like there's no problem.
I would say that they probably are. That this is what they're thinking. To bring someone in new. Now, Kansas City had somebody new last week, and it was kind of seamless. But to bring someone in new at this point is there is so much that goes into this process of the snap, the hold, the kick, right? Bringing someone in new right now and effectively saying to them, "You're the new kicker of record," is kind of reckless. It's different if he's hurt. and you're just pressed into it because I'm sure Kansas City said to this kid that came in privately, closed the door and said, "You're the guy. Hope it goes well.
Yeah,
hey, look,
in 4 weeks you need a job, right?
Yeah, in 4 weeks you're out. We're not expecting a lot out of you, but hey, make your kicks. And by the way, if you go 0 for 2 this week, we'll just have Jay Feely in here or somebody else. Like you're on a week-to-week contract with us. You wouldn't do that if you decided you were parting company or otherwise had lost complete faith in Tucker. You would bring someone in and pretty much say, hey, you're our guy. Now, if he goes 0 for 3, he ain't your guy. But to do that in the middle of the season, to me, would be reckless. But that doesn't answer your question.
Right. I think the question is what's the in-between? Like that, and because there's no debate in my mind that you cannot just say we are taking someone off the street, making them the kicker, and Justin Tucker's.
This is the closest thing, kicking, and I heard Rod Woodson try to describe it the other day. With all due respect to Rod Woodson, he has zero idea what he's talking about. This is that's why
we've got you.
As it relates to kicking and golf. This is the closest comparison, sport by sport, that I can think of. Kicking and golf, and how incredibly similar they are, both in the actual movement of your body because you're creating an arc, the timing of it, and the way you can make the ball move right to left or make the ball move left to right, depending on what way you hit it. Same way in golf. The number one thing that happens in golf to someone who starts hitting it astray, whether or not you're a player that usually hits it left to right and all of a sudden you start hooking it, or you're a player who hits it right to left and all of a sudden you start cutting the ball, meaning it goes left to right. The number one thing that happens is you get out of your rhythm. You were doing it great for 3 rounds and then something happened. Usually what happens is you hit a bad shot and your confidence gets dinged. And then you get over it again, and maybe it's the next round on the same tee, and you go, yesterday I kind of pulled this one a little bit. I'm going to aim a little further right, and you aim further right and you pull it worse because you're not really taking into account that all you're doing by aiming more right is making it more pronounced that it's going to go to your left. And I would assume he's going through that. I would assume no matter what he says, and a golfer would never do this either. Scotty Scheffler or Tiger Woods, if you ask Tiger Woods, or Nicklaus used to do this all the time. They used to say to Jack, that's your first 3-putt at Augusta since 1968. And Jack would say, I've never 3-putted here. And they're like, yeah, you did in 1968. Nicklaus would go,
it's never happened.
I've never 3-putted here.
Right.
I don't know what you're saying. So golfers, kickers, maybe goalies to some degree, but mostly golfers and kickers, man, they're never going to admit it's them. Tiger's never hit a bad shot under the gun. Tiger would never say, yeah, I got nervy on that 6-foot putt. He would never say that. He would tap a spike mark down and go, yeah, if I didn't hit that spike mark, I would have made it. I think kickers are very much the same way. They never want to tell you they've lost their confidence.
Sure.
They've never want to tell you that.
But
so when he stands up there, I don't put any stock, and I'm not trying to denigrate Justin Tucker when I say what I'm about to say. I don't put any stock in anything he says to the media. Nothing. Only he knows what's going on. And to your question is, are we at the point, or are the Ravens at the point where they should be genuinely concerned? Genuinely.
It's not just genuinely concerned. Doing something. There being some
bringing someone in to compete with him.
This is my argument a week ago was put a kicker on the practice squad. You have this giant practice squad. You're not cutting Justin Tucker. You're still not cutting Justin Tucker today.
Well, you can't.
You're probably not cutting
Justin
Tucker no matter what.
Too much investment in him. Is there any chance at all that he's hurt?
Of course there's a chance, right? There's a chance that that's the case. But whatever it is,
and hurt and not saying it.
Of course, there's a possibility.
Yeah,
of that.
but here's where I would.
It's like asking the same question about Adley Rutschman.
But here's where that argument would get defeated. He isn't missing these kicks for distance.
No, the distance isn't the problem.
Right.
The problem is the accuracy, right? And there's a lot of different things that are involved with this. At some point, to me, it's I'm acknowledging something's going on here. And I'm acknowledging that at some point, I might not be able to have – that we might get to a point where I can't have you go out and try the kick. And whether that's –
Well, it used to be that if it was 48 yards with 33 seconds to go and it was 13-12, we were losing, and he had a 48-yarder, I'd get up and go get more Doritos because he's making it.
Yes, the game's over. I understand
It ain't that way anymore.
That's part of the equation.
Right.
Part of the equation is the decision-making. Part of the equation is when it's 3rd and 11 and you're at the
39.
Not even the 39, even the 34 at this point. Are you really trying to get the first down, or are you calling a play short of the sticks
just to get 4 more yards?
Get you 7 yards and say, hey, there's a chance that we can turn around and get a first down. Like that's the type of equation, the math that ends up being impacted by this. But beyond that, it's is there a time frame by which, hey, if this isn't fixed within 3 weeks, somebody else has to take the kicks. We can't keep trotting you out there and allowing you to work through it. And whatever that looks like, whether that's just carrying 2 kickers on the roster, whether it's, to me, I've got to be mindful of that, and I want to have a kicker in the building who's working with your holder and working with your snapper.
So how does he make the 53-yarder? It's just it's data. It's just averages. He's going to make it.
That's
one at some point.
I mean, that's basically what everybody in this business that's what Matt Stover would tell you. That's
how he made
Jay
the 50.
Feely
He made the 53-yarder because he can still make them.
Right.
He just can't make 3 out of 3.
Right, because it's likely mental, to your point, as much as it is physical.
I would just knowing what I'm not a kicker. Knowing what I know about golf.
You made that kick in New England.
I did make that one, and by the way, Cundiff didn't, but I did.
Right. Remember it well.
They were so mad.
They were
too.
very mad.
I remember
They've been angry about a lot of things.
Pat Gleason said, "Can I talk to you for a minute?" I'm like, "Sure." That wasn't very funny. Yeah. I'm like, "Dude,
you know what? Actually,
relax.
I'm with Pat.
Relax."
I'm with Pat.
Remember all the workers looking at us?
I've changed my mind about it.
I
wasn't there. It was you and Luke.
Oh, it was Luke and I.
Yeah.
The workers were looking at us. We're walking out on the field. It was like Charlie Brown and Lucy. I'm like, Luke, just hold the ball. Let me.
Happen.
I will say this, and I just told this story to somebody the other day. If
I kind of don't, I got to be honest with you. You kind of don't have a hair on your ass for the fact that you never took them up on it and went out and tried.
Oh, you're right.
Like you were going to embarrass yourself.
Right.
I get like that's part of the problem.
Right.
Is that they were going to. But commit to the bit.
If you haven't been on the field of an NFL stadium and stood there, the freaking goalposts are so narrow.
Right.
There is something about TV. Yeah. And even something about being in the stadium but being on the side that does not give it justice. And I mean, joking, but I stood there right where the ball was and acted like I kicked it. And I'm telling you, you could have thrown the ball through it. It was so short. But the freaking goalposts are so narrow. It's a miracle they ever make any kicks. And they make them all the time, right?
You know, it's so funny. Part of the problem, part of the issue that we're having right now is that the data early on this year made it seem like this was the greatest time in the history of the NFL for kickers, right? And that's part of what we're judging. It's not just that Justin Tucker's missing. It's that he's missing while we are convinced you can just pull a guy off the street and he's going to make 60-yard field goals routinely because that's what everybody's doing. The problem is we got that narrative sort of seeped in for a few weeks early on in the season, and everybody stopped paying attention. And what nobody's noticed is in the last 3 weeks,
people are missing them. I mean, McPherson missed 2 the other night.
McPherson missed his kicks.
Inside
Hopkins
50.
couldn't make a 30-yarder.
Right.
Joshua Carty missed his 26-yarder. Brandon Aubrey, who we're all convinced is like the greatest kicker in the world, missed a 40-yarder the other night. Jake Elliott suddenly can't make kicks.
Right.
Like it's part of the issue that we're having is the context is missing.
Right. Sure.
There are people.
Well, it's not. Here's the problem too, and again, it's a little bit of a golf thing, but it isn't easy. They make it look easy, just like a golfer makes it look easy when he hits it 320 yards. Right. But it isn't easy.
No.
And I would just say I really don't see this being as much of a technique thing. He hasn't forgotten how to make kicks. He hasn't. there's something else is going on, and I don't think it's physical.
But it's a fine line between, okay, that's fine.
But you can't keep missing them.
That's the result is the result, and the result cost us a football game. And if it keeps costing us football games, to your point,
no doubt,
it could be the undoing. So what is the line? Where is the moment?
I would say I would say this week again, taking into consideration, and Pittsburgh. I wasn't there. The weather looked very seasonal, reasonable. Boswell made one from 81 yards like that.
Yeah, I don't know
but
if it was 81.
If he goes into that building this week, and McPherson missed 2 in there.
Mm-hmm.
If he goes into that building this week and misses a 48-yarder and a 47-yarder, you probably got to fly home and say, hey, we love you, but we got to have somebody come in and at least let us take a look at him. And he might bristle with that and get pissed off, or he might go, I don't blame you. I don't know.
Right.
So I would say this is a very important week for him. He's in a controlled climate, kicking off of a surface that's, very, very dependable. I know he made a little snarky comment about the field conditions the other day, but it didn't bother the other guy.
Fairness, the other guy kicks there every week.
Well, okay, but I mean, a bad field's a bad field.
I understand that, but
sure. So I would say this week. I mean, you say what's the line of demarcation? Probably this week. And I don't know that you tell him that before the game. I'm not sure that's smart. But I think you probably internally you should be saying to Eric, hey, if we get something inside the 50 and he doesn't make it, you should get on the horn. I hate to say that, but I think. By the way, I had Canisius plus 71 last night.
How'd I? So close. We'll get to it.
How'd I do?
I understand that you had shtick.
My buddy sent me a text.
Settle down.
Vince Ferruccia sent me a text. It was 52-8.
I understand. I'm trying to finish a conversation.
52-8.
God, it's like he saw a shiny red Maryland ball just bouncing out there.
52-8.
The thing about your topic is other thing.
52-8.
All right, over there. I'll finish the thought with this. Because they're not really at risk of losing a playoff spot, I don't know that – I think you might have 3 weeks to work through this. I think you might have 3 to figure this out going up to the bye. So I guess that's
you're saying because the only other presentable team would be Denver or Indianapolis, and the 2 of those aren't beating out the Ravens.
Most likely scenario. You've got the tiebreaker over Denver.
Right.
They're
6 and 4
now.
6 and 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
The most likely scenario.
So we're 1 game up on them. Okay.
You're not losing.
We're 2 games up, really.
1.5, whatever you want to.
Yeah. And then the Colts are
5 and 6, right, or 5 and 5.
Yeah, 5 and 6.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And the Dolphins are
4 and 6.
4 and 6.
4 and 6.
Wow.
Yeah. They were 2 and 6, but they have won back-to-back games. They are back in the picture. They are back alive.
Okay.
So it's part of my math.
Yeah. I get it. I mean,
really at
you're
risk
not
of losing.
You're not trying to be dismissive of it,
spot.
but you're probably not gapped.
So I think you have the 2 weeks going into the bye.
Bengals are 4 and 7.
Bengals are 4 and 7.
Yeah, they're done. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know that they're done because I don't know that I trust any of these other teams. But
the fact that the Browns and the Raiders both have 2 wins and one of them was us.
That's a real thing. That's really an issue that you're really dealing with. It's part of the thing. You could, if their only 2 losses this year were at Kansas City, at Pittsburgh, we'd be like, it's a bummer. But
it's like the Bills. Yeah. Bills lost to us and somebody else.
Who was the Bills?
Detroit, maybe?
Houston.
Oh, yeah, at Houston. Right. You just go, okay.
2 good teams.
Right.
It's what it is.
That was a hell of a game the other day, by the way.
Which one?
That Buffalo-Kansas City
game. That was a great game.
That was a great game. That was a great game.
It was a great game.
Iron Eagle should propose to Josh Allen.
You settle down. He's pretty effusive of Lamar.
Jeez, Wes. Give it a break.
I'm not sure.
The Player of the Year! The Player of the Year!
Wait, hang on a second. Hey, hang on. It just struck me.
Oh, that was Nance.
It was Nance. Yes. It wasn't even Iron Eagle. Iron Eagle did the Ravens.
Right. It was Nance. And he even knew it was
guy.
Not anymore. He even
Wait.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Jim even knew it was crazy because he came back and qualified it. Did you hear him?
No, I didn't.
So he called it the Play of the Year.
Yeah.
Right? Let me say this real quick about Nance because my affinity for him is always related to golf, right? I don't know what people think about him, sports play-by-play guys. I don't know what Kevin Harlan and Ian Eagle think of Jim Nantz as an actual play-by-play guy. Forget about his legacy as a sports broadcaster because he's done everything. I think Jim said the only thing he hasn't done is the Olympics, right? He hasn't done the Olympics.
I don't think CBS ever had the
Right.
Olympics.
That's what I mean.
Well, hang on. Who had the Olympics before NBC? ABC did, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
But he's done everything.
Right.
So as a sports broadcaster, he's kind of unparalleled. I don't know what they think of him as a play-by-play guy. Privately, I really think he's good at play-by-play. In golf, he's really more of he's just a booth host. Let's go down
Right,
let's go to Brandel Chambly at 14. Looks like Tiger's in trouble.
Not dissecting.
Yeah. Football, I think he's very, very good at football. I really do. Now, the other day, I don't know if he had this planned out, but, Allen breaks this run. He's like, it's the play of the year. And I'm like, what? It was a 26-yard touchdown run. Who cares? He came back and qualified it. That's when you know he did.
What did he say?
He came back and said, one of the reasons I said it was the play of the year was Chiefs, undefeated.
Right.
Bill,
By the way, there is an argument for that. I'm not gonna go
don't
crazy
kiss his
defending
ass
him.
now.
I'm not gonna do that. There's an argument for because it was the game of the year and it's the defining play of the game.
Right. It was a heck of a game.
Yes.
That was a heck of a football game.
It was a great football game. There's no doubt. It was with the
It had just the right amount of points, turnovers. Right, it was, and the Chiefs didn't actually cough the game up the way we would. We'd lose 21-20 by giving the game away.
You are.
It's driving me nuts. It's driving me nuts.
You are dissecting how you would rather lose.
No doubt.
That somehow it's better to lose.
Just lose 30-6.
What is that?
Drives me crazy.
What is that?
So here's my question for you, because you asked me one. I'm going to ask you one.
Okay, you asked me a question.
They finish. I don't care what the number is. I don't think the number would matter. They finish 11-6 or 12-5. Somehow they finish 12-5, but they wind up as the 6th seed because they lose to the Chargers and the Steelers wind up somehow. It doesn't even matter.
It seems really difficult.
12-5 or 11-6.
Okay.
Just
11-6.
let's pretend 11-6. They finish 11-6. Mm-hmm. They go to Pittsburgh and they lose in the playoffs 16-13.
Oh, yeah, he's done. He's done. 100%. I said this before.
I kind of think so too.
If this comes down to the Steelers or the Chiefs at this point, then it's a fireable offense. It's really the issue that I have.
Because he would still have. He's got a full year left, and you have to assume. I don't know his contract, but you have to assume he gets a bump if they make the playoffs every year.
They tack on a year.
Yeah. Right. So
right.
Now, does Steve want to give him $20 million of free money? I don't think so. Would Steve fire him? I don't even know if that's the right term. I think what would happen is John would move up to some administrative executive director of football analysis operation and get his $20 million, and they bring in a new head coach. But I think if they lose in the first round of the playoffs, I think John's done.
I think
I've never said that before.
About that part.
Why?
Because I think he'll be the coach at Michigan next year.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Okay, but
the Jaguars aren't looking there,
Yeah, I don't.
I've always wanted to
ask
ask John. I've always wanted to ask John this, and if we were still over there and involved, I would have asked him this whenever it happened 4 years ago. Does he regret not taking the Notre Dame job when it was open?
I'd be very surprised if he would say yes.
Really?
I'd be very surprised by that. I get it with his daughter and everything. I understand the.
It's Notre Dame football.
Yeah, a little bit that. I think that from what look, I don't want to say anything. I know enough to know John's extraordinarily happy. Unbelievable.
Why? Because he makes $12 million a year?
That plus
Gee.
He likes where he lives. He kind of likes the fact that in Baltimore you're famous, but it's not New York. It's not. He really.
He can go into Len Stoller today and actually go in there and sit down and have a cup of coffee with somebody and not get harangued.
It's not a mob scene. It's not a there'd be pictures. But it's not.
I do think it's overblown in our community, and this happens all the time. And we could come up with another comparison. John is far more liked in our community than disliked.
100%.
People
100%.
People act like John's hated, and that's not true at all.
He's hated online.
There's a very vocal minority of people that do blossom online, who fraud ball, hardball, terrible, good, riding on Ray Lewis's coattails, which is bizarre. Ray hadn't been around for 10 years. That's a minority of people.
Mm-hmm.
John, for the most part, here is revered.
Or is it
For the most
at
part.
least
And revered may be too
respected.
strong.
Right. I don't think it's revered.
Okay,
I think
that's
it's
fine.
Respected
Yeah,
and
sure.
popular. It's, he's been a really good coach.
But I do think he's out if they lose in the first round of the playoffs, and especially if it's Pittsburgh.
I think if it's Pittsburgh or Kansas City again.
But we're not losing to Kansas City in the first round.
Probably not in the first round, but I don't know that it
Well,
matters.
we could 2-7. 2-7 you could.
Really tough to fall at 7. Jeez, that'd be really.
I've seen stranger things.
I
but
hear you.
okay.
I mean, it just would cause one of these teams that have to be dramatically different than what they've been.
Yeah, sure.
Right, like it would cause.
Yeah, I don't know Denver's
Yeah,
schedule.
like Denver would
but,
have to go off.
The Dolphins would have to run the table or something
something.
stupid.
Anthony
Right.
Richardson figures it out.
Yeah, it suddenly becomes Lamar Jackson, right? But to the point, if it's one of those two teams, whenever it is, that's when you've reached the point of you've had years to figure this out. You've had years.
Well, the last thing I wrote today at Drew's Morning Dish was, if that were to happen, I have to assume Steve is saying, are we going to waste another year of this kid being the MVP of the league? Like, we're going to have the MVP of the league, and we're 2 years in a row, we're not getting the Super Bowl?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know that he's going to be the MVP because there's a lot of narrative around Josh Allen now. Yeah, like they're really.
Fair enough. And Josh Allen might be the MVP, honestly. But that's neither here nor there.
Right.
Are we really going to squander a second
MVP caliber play? Yes.
Are we really going to squander a second year of a Hall of Fame sort of bank of statistical data? Like, this is a historical year from this kid. Are we really squandering this again?
I mean, I would.
Now, his critics, the quarterbacks, are going to say some of that's on him, right? Now, this past Sunday, he got. I don't even know. I don't know what number I want to put on this. He got a fair amount of criticism online, which baffles me beyond being baffled. I don't know how on earth you would blame Lamar.
I think it's two different things. This goes back to the eternal blame pie, right? Like, is Lamar the reason why they lost the game? No, of course not. But were there other things that Lamar could have done? Were there situations where he could have taken?
Well, he definitely didn't want to run.
Right.
There was one play that I'm trying to remember as I watched the TV. They were going left to right. So I think it might have been in the second quarter.
Yeah, I think you're thinking of the third and 10, which I don't know that he would have gotten the 10. But yeah.
Lamar, he would have got 15 any other time. He didn't even try to run.
I understand. And it's something that I think is a fair criticism / question about.
Just be a running back.
No, let's not do that. Let's not.
Just be a running back who throws it.
Let's not do that.
I don't know,
let's
man.
Not do that.
I kind of like it when he does that.
I hear you.
Might shorten his career by 3 years, but I don't care.
Right.
As long as we win a Super Bowl.
No, Lamar if we went list by list of what happened on Sunday, penalties, field goals, turnovers,
right.
Lamar would be somewhere down here, but that doesn't. Both things can be true, and that's part of the problem. In the second quarter, I brought up the running thing, tweeted something about it, and for 2 days, then I get back you think this was Lamar's fault? Like, no, Chief. In that moment, when it happened,
I mean, right.
I think Lamar should have ran the ball.
Right, you know how that goes. You're not allowed to make an observation.
What we do is, I think you're saying this because other people on the internet say that.
It's like this thing with Dr. Oz. He might wind up being a perfectly good director of Medicare.
Yeah.
What's the first name of this guy?
Doctor.
That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say.
Do we know if he's actually
Well, he's like Stu was in The Hangover.
It's true. My name doesn't start with
If you don't see these appointments and laugh, there's something wrong with you.
I mean, I don't know. Laugh, cry.
They're pretty funny, dude.
They are pretty funny.
They're pretty funny. He was going to give one of the jobs to Terry Garr. And they're like, Don, she died about 3 months ago. And he said, well, does she still have anything left?
Oh, boy. We are,
Is Michael Keaton still alive?
We are, yes. Buster Keaton, actually.
Dude, I'm telling you. It's all, I'm telling you, it's going to come out on January 15th.
Oh?
Yep.
What's going to come out?
He's a Democrat.
Oh, that's what's going to
And he's going to say, I've been getting.
Do the whole.
Vince McMahon's going to raise his arm up, and Stone Cold's going to hit him with a.
Rip the shirt off.
Stone Cold's going to hit him with a frying pan,
Yeah,
and Donald's going to say, "Here's my actual cabinet.
Right.
Here it is."
I don't think that's going to be.
I'm just telling you, dude. It has to be. It just can't be real.
Drew's here. We're going to play Would You
There's
Rather
got to
Wednesday.
be something else to it.
I hear you. We're going to play Would You Rather Wednesday.
Bill Burr
when we
had the
come
best
back.
line of all.
Yeah. Oh, which one?
Ladies,
you're 0 for 2
you're
now.
0-2 against this guy.
Jesus Christ. We'll play Would You Rather Wednesday when we
Oh,
come
my
back.
God.
Don't forget countysports.zone. That's the place to go for everything you need to know. It is playoff season in public school football.
Turkey Bowl.
The Turkey Bowl is coming
It's
up.
not a playoff game, but it might as well be.
It's I don't know. It's a rivalry game.
Oh, no. I mean,
More
it's
than a
huge.
playoff
It's
game, I think.
huge.
Yeah, that's coming up. There'll be plenty of coverage of that. But everything you need to know for playoff season in football, they've got you at countysports.zone, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Drew's here. Would You Rather Wednesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. Learn more at DriveEasyMD.com.
Pressbox's Project Game Day is the place to be after every game this season. Join Glenn Clark, Rita Hubbard, Super Bowl 35 champion Femi Adebayo, and our cast of regulars as they break down what happened, why it mattered, and what it means moving forward. You can watch the show at PressBoxOnline.com/gameday or Pressbox's Facebook and YouTube pages. Project Game Day is brought to you by the Green Turtle Sportsbook in Towson and Canton, Easy Pass, and HelpMyGamblingProblem.org. So join us for Project Game Day after every game day this football season at PressBoxOnline.com/game day.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their amazingly scrumptious, fat, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. Every season is crab season at Costas, so make your plans now by calling 410-477-1975 and reserve your taste of heaven. Sit back, crack some crabs, and watch the Ravens chase down another title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday nights, Costas offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30, and there are nightly specials Monday through Friday. So head on down to the Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at CostasInn.com.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named #1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll, receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Brace yourselves for an unparalleled in-person betting experience at the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbook and Bars in Canton and Towson. Experience the thrill of live betting with Baltimore's only state-of-the-art Vegas viewing TV experience. Choose between their on-site tellers or the convenience of their self-bet kiosks to place your bets. And now stop by the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks in Towson and Canton every Wednesday for a free $10 bet. Just show up, sign up, and get your $10 bet for free. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Go to mdgamblinghelp.org.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
I'm pretty sure he just made a noise that I'm not sure Mrs. Forrester has ever heard.
Look at those.
Yeah.
So they're going with the all dark blue.
Yeah, the all navy.
I think we got to.
Yeah,
I think
but
that
a white
helps.
helmet.
Oh,
Though.
it dramatically
That helps us.
Dramatically helps, yes. The powder blue, undefeated. The dark blue, meh.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Plus, it's going to be mostly Ravens fans on Monday night.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a lot of people going. It's Thanksgiving week. It's easy
Yeah,
to
yeah,
take
yeah.
A lot of people going out for this one. A lot of people making this trip.
Oh, I buy that.
So, and
I think I'll tell you what. I feel good
by the
about
way,
it.
for what it's worth, that game last week was the most Chargers fans I've ever seen in their stadium.
I feel good about it. I think I think they got a great chance.
Well, first of all, Harbaugh, he's been great.
He's been awesome.
Yeah.
And you got to think he's going to come through Monday night.
Right.
Ravens 27, Chargers 50.
There we go. Would you rather Wednesday? By the way, coming up in a couple
Our
of
secondary, right back to where we were before.
Our old friend Mike Florio is going to join us in a couple of minutes. What? Yeah, our old buddy Mike Florio will check in with us.
All right.
And then after you check out, we'll catch up with our friend Chris Broussard, who the last time we talked to him was leading the charge. I'm not sure if he's
The Cavaliers got beat last night.
They did. Finally.
121-17.
You bet on the game. What'd you bet? Did you bet the Celtics? Oh, you want to bet on the Celtics?
I also bet the Cavs +7 to cover my ass.
That's a hedge.
Oh, beautiful.
I've had a
Beautiful.
lot of recent success. Modest.
+7, really?
Yeah.
I've had a lot of recent modest
I was
success
like, yeah, okay.
They were
Picking-
struggling in the second half.
They
It
were.
didn't look good for a while.
picking hockey goal scorers.
Okay. Well, now what are you going to
It's
do?
actually
Ovechkin's
I
gonna
know.
be out for a few weeks.
terrible. McMichael's had a great. I've won several times on McMichael. They could survive and look at their schedule.
McMichael is playing
They-
hockey? I thought he was in bad shape.
They'll be okay without him, but obviously they can't go. They got to get him back in there before Christmas. If they can play 500 without him, they'll be fine.
All right. Let's play Would You Rather Wednesday. It's brought to you by Glory Days.
Punch that guy Jack McBain right in the face.
It's brought to you by
You
Glory
just
Days.
bet a guy named Kachuk to score, right? Just
Correct.
any night.
Either
Yeah,
one of
right,
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about it.
One of them scored last night.
I think Brady. I don't know.
Was it?
It's one or the other.
Well,
Yeah,
one of them
there
did.
are-
One of them definitely
there are
did.
two. Would You Rather Wednesday is brought to you by Glory Days Grill. We are giving away another $30 gift card to Glory Days Grill for someone who participates in Would You Rather Wednesday. And it's very simple. Go to twitter.com/Glenn Clark Radio or facebook.com/Glenn Clark Radio, and you'll find the scenarios. Respond to one or all, and you're registered. Griffin will pull a winner tomorrow. That's the way that it works. Oh, and by the way, while you're there, I still have pinned up that link to donate to Pete Medhurst's family. Please, if you haven't yet, get in, share it. One of the best humans that I know. We're trying to help out Pete's family as he battles brain cancer. Obviously, the play-by-play voice at Navy, among many other places. Please get in. Just throw in a couple bucks. If it's $5, throw in $5. I'm not asking you for a number. I don't have a radio station tag to put to it. Like I think at some radio stations saying donate $10.57. We don't have that here. Donate whatever. $1.
How about $15.70?
Donate $15.70. We did used to do that. We did used to ask people. We might. By the way, that might be the play for helping out mission. I'm struggling. In fact, I thought I had something.
I'm at 100. I'm at 157.
That'd be great. I thought I had something Ovechkin related lined up.
Oh, jeez.
But I'm not sure. Not sure where we are with that. We will see.
How about $1 for every point Canisius scores in their next game? You'll probably lose $21.
Let's talk about it. Number one, would you rather? That football genie from last week, he's back this week.
Oh, great.
He's got a new offer for you. You took the defense, and he delivered.
Yeah.
So you can keep playing that card, and the defense will be guaranteed to give up no more than 26 points in a game the rest of the season. Or he'll give you a guarantee.
We get Juan Soto.
No, not he's a genie. He's not a.
He's a football genie.
Yeah.
too.
Or he'll give you Justin Tucker not missing another kick the rest of the season.
Oh.
Yeah.
I would go with Tucker.
Really?
I would.
Okay.
I'm changing my allegiance.
The entire
I would go-
defense.
I
that
would
we're
go.
talking
I
about.
would.
But you're
take
suddenly
Tucker.
after one game confident the defense has got things figured out?
No, but I would take Tucker. You know these playoff games are going to come down. You're going to score 2 touchdowns and have 3 field goal attempts or 3 touch. Yes, Tucker,
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
the GOAT.
Yes.
I would also go Justin Tucker.
I feel
think,
like this is recency bias.
I mean,
Well, he
maybe it
stinks.
is.
I'm aware of that.
All right.
Remember the defense before this week?
Yes.
But do you remember what they had been doing?
Tre'Davious White has
He
changed
solved
everything.
Now that's fixed.
But there's like three of the 4 losses. I feel like if Justin Tucker makes a kick, then
Correct. He's to blame for 3 of the 4.
yeah.
And the refs are to blame for the other
there
one.
you go. It's on Justin Tucker and the refs.
Right.
I think you guys are being way too dismissive.
And
of-
Lamar.
all of a sudden, a week ago, everybody's panicked about the defense,
Nope.
and all of a
Tucker.
sudden this week we're like, it's fine. Life's good now.
Tucker.
Just need the kicks. That's it. Number 2, would you rather? I don't know if you heard this morning, but Florida Atlantic is in the market for a new football coach. They moved on from Tom Herman.
So is Charlotte.
They are. Unfortunately, our old friend Biff is no longer employed at Charlotte. A lot of people think he could end up on Mike Loxley's staff.
What would Loxley need with him? Things are going great down there.
I don't like the first question is
If this kid though from Spalding winds up going,
well, apparently he is really hell bent on going because they keep although these other
he's seen
schools,
Maryland play
I'm
football.
aware it's something with his family. Penn State keeps trying and he keeps saying no.
Well, he is a hell of a player, man.
He's a great player. There's no question about that. Just
Yeah.
won another A conference title over the weekend. But the point being.
And I don't think he's playing basketball for them.
No,
I think he's going to Maryland in December.
He gave up. Yeah, he told that he had to do that. So Florida Atlantic, they need a coach.
Okay.
And they put you in charge.
Harbs?
They put you in charge.
Okay.
There are 2 candidates.
Okay.
One reported factually as being in line for the job this morning by Adam Schefter. Adam Schefter reports that Florida Atlantic, maybe trying to go like the Deion Sanders route, a prime candidate has come into play for Florida Atlantic. Okay, you can guess. That's fine.
Ed Reed.
Close.
Ray Lewis.
Ray Lewis.
Okay.
Ray Lewis. That part, completely legitimate.
All right. Well, that's
completely
a 0.
legitimate.
Okay. I mean, I love Ray. Ray is not a football coach.
Would you rather it be Ray Lewis or very successful coach, but highly controversial
Mike Leach?
Urban Meyer? Mike Leach has passed. Mike Leach is no longer with us.
What?
God. I really regret not saving that for the next time we do Dead or Alive. Really regret not holding on to
Mike
that
Leach,
one.
the guy that
Yes,
was it Mrs. What was that?
Texas Tech, Washington State. Yeah, unfortunately he passed.
Where was I?
I don't know.
Mike Leach. You sure you got the right? Are we talking about the right guy? The crazy guy, right?
Yes, the guy who thinks he's a pirate. Yes, that Mike Leach. He's no longer with us. Get to the.
Okay, we'll scratch him off the list then.
That's a great point. We're not going to choose.
Who was the other guy? Oh, Urban Meyer. Well, what do we care about Florida Atlantic?
Well, you're.
Like, why
you're
do we
now
care?
You're in charge. You're in charge of the hire. And you'll be judged by it, obviously.
I mean, I think there's only one real answer.
You say that.
Come on.
Urban Meyer kicked his players. Kicked them.
Did they win?
No, not in Jacksonville.
Did
not
you
even
die?
A little bit. Not even a little bit.
You could use that.
In Jacksonville, they did
You
not.
could use that line from The Hangover.
That's a great point.
Hangover 2.
Yeah,
did
right.
you die?
No, that's a good point.
You kicked me. Yeah, but did you die?
Right.
Maybe he should have made his field
He
goals. I don't know.
kicked his players. Kicked them.
Was it hard?
I mean, fairly hard.
Okay, but it wasn't hard.
I mean, like, I don't
was
know.
fairly hard.
This was Josh Lambo, right? Was that
Josh
the...
Lambo famously was.
Oh, well, he missed the
Make your
field
kicks.
goals.
Great point. Maybe
Make your kicks.
We should start kicking.
Hello?
You're saying we should start kicking Justin Tucker? Maybe the Ravens should hire Urban Meyer.
Maybe. Well, and with all due respect, and as we all are in Baltimore, I'm an eternal Ray Lewis fan. I'm not hiring Ray Lewis. So give me Urban Meyer. And give him steel-toed shoes or something in case the kicker misses.
In case the kicker misses.
Yeah,
again.
I'll take Urban Meyer.
Griffin.
I mean, all he does is win national championships.
And hang out at bars.
Sure. But
That
he's going to win
girl,
you.
that was a setup.
That's a great
What's
point.
my job?
That girl grinding on
That's a
him
great point.
in Cincinnati
That
or
poor
wherever.
guy at Columbus.
That
poor guy was just trying to sit there and have an evening.
just trying to have a drink.
He wouldn't fly home with the team. There's no chance I'm hiring Urban Meyer.
All right.
None.
In
you're
his-
FAU.
All right, hold on.
None.
And Urban Meyer says,
I'm not
all right, hold
hiring
on.
I
Urban
do it.
Meyer.
Ho.
My job is to win a
I
national
know he said he
championship.
wouldn't fly home with the team.
Yes.
But in his defense, did you see her?
I understand, but he didn't know she was there. So you got to keep that in mind. He just went to a bar not knowing
In
that
his
young
defense,
lady was
did
there.
you see her?
There's no chance.
Okay.
There's no
Okay.
chance I'm hiring
Well, you can
Urban
hire
Meyer.
If
Ray.
I was an NFL team,
No, go ahead and hire Ray and go 3-9.
That's what a lot of people said about Deion Sanders. He's about to be in the playoff, dog. Like,
I don't know how.
because the Big 12 stinks.
Because he's a good coach, yeah.
Boy, how damning
How about
is
the fact
it?
that Indiana is 5 in the country?
How
warm mood,
damning is it that the college football playoff group thinks so little of the Big 12 that, like, yeah, we're putting Boise State in the like, Boise State's going to have the bye. You guys don't get a bye. Like, that's
I can't get over Indiana.
Well, they're going to.
Are they going to lose?
Yeah, they're going to get their asses kicked on Saturday.
To
Ohio State.
It's
at Ohio
Columbus,
State.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah.
But what? Okay, what would have to
They're not
happen?
going to lose by 40. People are like, they're going to lose by 40. That's not going to happen.
Are we sure?
Yeah, I am. Because Ohio State's pretty fraudulent, too. But they're going to win by 2 touchdowns, something like that.
Ohio State beats everyone not named, I guess Michigan. And
yeah,
Oregon.
But they tried to lose a couple weeks
We
ago.
lost
to
to
some
Rutgers
crap
in
team.
football.
Who was that? Yeah, I remember. Well, who's we? Who's we?
Maryland. Saturday.
Since when are you? Is Maryland?
We lost to Rutgers.
Since when are you a we? Since when did that happen?
We lost to Rutgers.
You keep saying we.
At
I'm not
home.
sure. But what is we?
In College Park.
Oh, where?
If we go up there and we lay an egg, you're like, okay. We lost at home.
Ain't good. It sure as hell ain't good. There's no doubt about it.
What was the crowd Saturday?
How would I know?
It was good for about a quarter and a half.
Oh, you went. That's
Yeah, it
right.
was.
You
I
What
went.
was the crowd? What was the announced attendance?
I don't know.
know that.
31,000?
Who cares? Why is this something that you're talking
31,000 would be pretty good.
It's our state school.
You've never once in your... The last time you thought about Maryland football was when they were getting ready to play Duke. That was the last time that you had any
Times have
thought.
changed now that you can bet on the games.
Oh.
I'm now very interested.
31-4 was the announced attendance for that.
Oh, you're right on.
I said 31-2, didn't I? Or I said
He
31-3?
looked it up.
No, I didn't.
He was trying to impress
I
us.
didn't.
He was like, he actually bet the
Here's
attendance.
the amazing part.
Yeah.
This is the truth.
He had the under.
No,
on
this is the truth.
32.5.
And this is not a shoot. This is the truth. Or this is a shoot.
We got to get number 3.
Listen,
Quick.
it's amazing that 31,000 people were there, if that's the real number.
A 6 o'clock game.
Proud to be there.
Yeah.
But think about that.
That was how he chose to spend his day.
31,000
see Maryland
people
play Rutgers,
went to
yes.
go see Maryland play a football
It's the
game.
thing that I always tell you when somebody tries to make fun of it. When the Orioles' attendance was awful, and I was like, 5 people are choosing to spend their evening this way. 5. It's a miracle. All right, number 3. Would you rather?
By the way, the report, Matt Zenitz,
Yes.
who from
Close
24
friend of
Sports. Oh yeah, 24/7 Sports. He said that apparently there has been no communication between FAU and Ray Lewis.
Oh, he's trying
So
to undercut
he's
Adam
trying to
Schefter.
undercut Schefter,
He's
yeah.
trying to cut. Come for the king, you best not miss.
Well,
Yeah,
is
right.
Schefter the king though?
I think.
Oh.
In that
does
world,
commercials.
yeah.
Rappaport.
All right. Schefter's the king.
Schefter does
He's the-
commercials.
over
Rappaport?
top- Yes, over Rappaport. He is
right.
the top dog in that business.
Sheffy.
I think it's locking 4 myself. And then number 3, would you rather quickly? You can spend your Thanksgiving. You can have dinner with your family for an hour at noon. The rest of your and you can have as many leftovers as you want.
And Coward Hall beats all
The
41
rest
to 10.
of the day,
Okay.
all you can do is watch Jake Paul fights and Canisius basketball games. That's all you're allowed to do the rest of the day. But you get dinner and you get leftovers.
Okay. Or
Scenario 2, you can do or watch whatever you want, but you may not have Thanksgiving dinner. All you're allowed to eat during the course of the day. Have you seen the story of the guy who paid $654 for chicken fingers and pizza at a UNLV game?
no.
Oh, boy.
No.
It's pretty great.
It sounds like an expensive dish.
Yeah, you would think that. This man paid $653 to get that pizza, singular pizza, and that bowl of plain-looking chicken tenders.
No, he didn't.
That can't
Yes,
be
he
true.
did.
Well, how?
Oh, they've got the receipt. We can pull it up and show it to you. They charge like an administrative fee because he was sitting in a skybox. They charge like all these fees because you're sitting in a skybox at the Raiders Stadium. $653 for that. That you can do, watch whatever you want. Watch all the football, go to the Turkey Bowl, have your whole day. But no Thanksgiving dinner, no leftovers, just plain-ass chicken tenders and that sorry-looking pizza.
But do I got to pay the $653?
I will not make you pay $653.
I'll take the
for
chicken and the pizza.
Chicken and the pizza.
I mean, yeah. I'll take
I'm not watching
I'll
that guy
take the chicken
fight.
pizza.
You're not?
I'm not watching.
No?
I'm not
No.
watching that.
Even if I had to
That's
pay
how
for it, I
Griffin likes to
may.
spend his time.
Well, yeah.
He chooses to do
Even
it.
if I had to pay for it, I may.
Didn't that look-
You would pay the $653.
Well, because it also means I'm in a position in my life where I can
right.
afford to pay $600.
Didn't that look suspicious to you?
First of all, you're suggesting that I would watch. Second of all, of course it's suspicious. It's fixed.
You do believe that?
It's not that I believe it. It's that I'm telling you, knowing the parties that are involved, there is absolutely no chance that people that have this much at stake would enter into. Jake Paul is not entering into something where he is at actual risk of being harmed, truly harmed. That is not a risk he's taking. He is too valuable. He has too much money to make. He has too much to lose to go into something where there would be any actual risk of someone harming him. These things his brother fought Floyd Mayweather. Not 59-year-old Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
And people chose to watch it. Like it was real. Like it was a thing.
Well, here's one question. And I'm asking this because I honestly don't know. Mm-hmm. I saw it, but I didn't see it. Does he still have the tattoo on his face?
I don't know.
He does?
Okay, there you go.
Tyson does?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't watch.
I didn't either. I saw the highlights of it.
I would not participate in this sham. I would not.
Netflix got annihilated, too, because it kept buffering the whole time.
It's going to be a real problem come Christmas. It's going to be a real issue come
Christmas. It was fixed.
All right. Would You Rather Wednesday. Get it up at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter, Facebook.com/Glenn Clark Radio. Somebody is winning a $30 gift card to Glory Days Grill just for responding to these scenarios. Our next guest, of course, is an old friend of ours. He is the man behind Pro Football Talk.
Old friend.
Yeah, we've been doing
meaning former, or meaning not old.
Friends for a long time. What are you
That's
talking about?
That long-time friend.
Long-time.
If you say old,
you think he's old, right?
Right.
I get it.
I'm old.
Long-time friend, and he has brought back his holiday book this year. He is our buddy Mike Florio.
Oh,
He's back with us now here on GCR. Mike, it's Glenn and Drew of all things. It's been a really long time since the three of us have been together. What's going on, brother?
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, old friend can have a bunch of different meanings.
Yeah, my fault.
I am old. It is better than the alternative.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good
long-time friend, Michael.
Yeah,
long time.
That's the way it goes. Hey, before we talk about the Ravens, talk some football. You brought back On Our Way Home this holiday season.
I did. And it is a Christmas story / ghost story that lands at the intersection of It's a Wonderful Life and A Christmas Carol. It is bittersweet, but it has a message in there. I was just talking to my good friend Paul Allen on KFAN in Minneapolis about this. The idea is to try to, and I didn't write it with this intention, but the finished product, I think, has the effect, inspiring folks to maybe repair some broken relationships in their lives. The holiday season is a good time to do it. And it also is meant to provide some positivity for folks who have a hard time during the holidays. Most of us view it as a good time of year. For a lot of people, it's about loss and estrangement and isolation, and I think this book will help as well. It's only $2.99 for the ebook, $9.99 for the print edition. If you're looking for easy Christmas gifts and cheap Christmas gifts, just buy a stack of them and give them to whoever you feel compelled to give a gift to. If they read it, they might come out of it feeling better about things and feeling determined to try to fix some things in their life that they've been neglecting. Also, all proceeds this year I'm splitting between the Michael Phelps Foundation and the Enfield Public Schools. Those are charities supported by two of my friends in the business, Jay Glazer and Peter King. So thank you for giving me a chance to talk about it. You can get it at Amazon. Again, $2.99 for the ebook. That's nothing. Instantly available. Download, start reading it. You'll like it. It's actually good, despite the fact that I wrote it. The folks at Kirkus, who are like the leading industry critical review place, that's not a very artful word, but that's what it is. They loved it. And it blew me away that they loved it. So hopefully folks will give it a chance and they'll like it as well.
Is there a chapter that you can devote to fixing your field goal kicker?
Yeah, no, yeah. I don't know. Maybe Justin Tucker needs to read that book and he'll come out of it on the other end determined to go out and make his kick. And look, it's not just him. It's the whole operation. And it just shows you, we take it for granted when it's working. It can so easily be thrown off. And then once it's thrown off, it's so hard to get it back to where it was.
Okay, so by the way, we have also retweeted the book, and you go at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter and click the link through, and you can find it there. And it's pinned up on at the Pro Football Talk account as on Twitter as well. Mike, are you surprised that the Ravens? It's panic. It's 5-alarm here in Baltimore. This is a disaster. You know, everybody here thinks everybody's making their kicks because, you know, at the beginning of the year, everybody was making their kicks, and they're not noticing that all of a sudden nobody's making their kicks. But everybody's convinced you could just pull somebody off the street and they'd be better than this right now. I get why the Ravens are saying, no, he's Justin Tucker. We're not just going to do that. But does there come a point where, like, it's so bad and it is costing you that you do have to, like, do something crazy here and say, hey, whatever the pain is, we can't continue to allow this to cost us games?
The Vikings went through this 9-10 years ago with Blair Walsh, who came into the NFL as a very good kicker. He came in the same year as Greg Zuerlein, and they both were awesome. And then Blair Walsh missed a chip shot in a playoff game outdoors in Minnesota. The last game before the Vikings opened their new stadium, it was the day that Bud Grant out there in the shirt sleeves and it's below zero. Blair Walsh misses the chance to knock the Seahawks out of the playoffs, and he was never right again after that. And the reluctance for the team in that situation is, the guy needs a wake-up call, and the ultimate wake-up call is cutting him, and then he's going to go somewhere else and he's going to start making his kicks again, and he's going to beat us in a big game someday. I think that's the hope is you want the guy to figure it out short of him figuring it out against you in the future. So I think that's the concern, and that's the idea. They've seen what Justin Tucker can do. They don't want to send him somewhere else and have him recapture his groove and do it all over again. So I think they're willing to be patient. They've got a huge financial investment, and they think he's one kick away from getting back to where he was.
Mike, Ben Roethlisberger today has had some interesting commentary. I'm not even sure if you've seen it yet. It's very recent, but he's had some interesting commentary about the Tomlin-Harbaugh rivalry, if you will, and of course he's siding very heavily with Tomlin, saying he's in Harbaugh's head and out-coaching him and all that stuff. And frankly, some people in Baltimore think that too. Where do you see this going with these two teams and these two coaches?
Well, look, it's not a lopsided mastery of one by the other. It's what, 21 to 15? Is that what it is?
It's way closer overall than anybody realizes it is. But it's been, obviously it's 8-1 in the last 9 that's standing.
Well, and I think the perception also is Harbaugh's always or traditionally had the better team, and Tomlin keeps finding a way to beat him. And at a certain point, it does get into your head. It's no different than John and Jim, who are going to be against each other on Monday night. John's got the big brother factor, and Jim's 0-2 against John, in part because of that. So for whatever reason, that game, that situation, that circumstance, they are close, low-scoring games. And maybe the broader observation is that, and I don't know what John's record is historically in settings like this, but it might just be that when you get into a close game like that, it's harder for the Ravens to win. I think back to the win over the Broncos, 41-10, Week 9. I said after that game that it gave us a glimpse of what the Ravens can be when the operation is firing on all cylinders. It just doesn't fire on all cylinders often enough. And when it is a close, hard-fought game, the way the Ravens are built currently, it's harder for them to win. They win when everything's working and they have one of those easy days. And they came back and beat the Bengals, and that was an impressive showing. But the best template for the Ravens is to play like they did against the Broncos. And it's easier said than done because everybody would like to go out and win by 31 every single week if they could.
Yeah, that'd be ideal. I don't know where you can sign up for it, but I take it.
But the Ravens are good enough to do it. It just doesn't happen often enough.
Mike Florio is with us, obviously, NBC Sports Pro Football Talk. Mike, I think one of the things that's interesting to me is there's this fear that, the Steelers, the Chiefs seem to have the Ravens' number. That said, the Bills are apparently the team to beat now in the AFC, and the Ravens just plastered them. They didn't even have a speed bump to put up against the Ravens a few weeks ago. I feel like that maybe the big story is that the AFC is as open, perhaps, as it's ever been, which doesn't maybe make you feel better about the Ravens per se, but it just feels like it's not as it's just the Chiefs as it's been for a few years.
It makes for a great playoff tournament in the AFC. And a lot of it's going to be driven by who makes the 7 spots, although it's coming into focus now because this year, unlike others in recent years, the cream and the crap are separating, and it's going to make for a lot of late regular season, not very good games. But when we get to the postseason, when you look at who makes it, any given team, 1 through 7, is going to be able to beat any of the other teams. And maybe we'll get one of these matchups where, the Bills are better on paper than the Ravens, but the Ravens kind of have their number. Or maybe the Ravens are better on paper than some other team, but the other team has their number. But you get the Chargers into the mix, who can play with anyone, and their style will travel well in the postseason if they have to go on the road to a cold weather location. The Broncos' style will travel well. You're going to have some dangerous wild card teams that can go to any of the buildings where the teams are going to be hosting those playoff games and win. It's going to make for a great and fun group of playoff games in the AFC. And then the question is, can whoever emerges from that go beat the Lions? Because right now it sure looks like it's going to be hard for anyone to beat Detroit in Detroit, given the way Detroit has been playing. And look at what they did. I know it's the Jaguars, but it's still an NFL team. They haven't been relegated yet, and I don't think they will be, even though maybe they should be. 52-6. That really, really makes it look like Lions versus whoever comes out of that morass in the AFC.
I mean, it feels like we're on another planet when you say
the Lions.
But right. I mean, it's you look at the NFC West. 8 and 9 might wind up winning that division somehow. You look at the NFC South, like it is bizarre how much difference there is between the Lions and everyone else. I mean, they almost have to give this thing away to not get there, which is crazy, right?
Well, here's the one thing I'll say, because for any team that ends up being the 1 seed, the last team you want to see come into your building, especially in the divisional round, is a team from your division. They're not intimidated by you. They play there every year. They know you better. I mean, look at the difference between the NFC teams that have no idea how to defend Lamar Jackson and the Steelers know exactly what to do, and it works. So the Lions should not want to see the Packers or the Vikings in the divisional round, and there's a chance both teams are going to make the postseason. And the other team the Lions shouldn't want to see under any set of circumstances is the LA Rams because of Matthew Stafford. And look at what the Rams did in the playoffs last year. They almost beat the Lions in the wild card round. Week 1 this year, Sunday Night Football, almost beat the Lions in their own building. I don't want to give Matthew Stafford a third shot to come into Detroit, place where he played for over a decade, and end the best season that the Lions have had in 90 years. And, because the Lions' goal is to win the Super Bowl. For these other teams that have no real reason to think they're going to get to the Super Bowl and win it, man, it's a hell of a consolation prize if you're the team that took out the Lions.
Drew brought this up earlier, Mike, and I just want to run it by you, right? We referenced the Ravens 1-8 in their last 9 against the Steelers. They're also in the Lamar Jackson, Pat Mahomes era, 1-5 against the Chiefs. If the Ravens were to lose to one of those two teams again in the playoffs, as much as the Ravens love, keeping things normal and continuity, is there at that point any conversation that is to be had about John Harbaugh and whether or not this particular hump is one that is becoming too problematic and the Ravens have to reconsider?
Well, there have been a few fleeting moments during Harbaugh's time with the Ravens where it felt like maybe it had run its course kind of from a mutual perspective. And the fact that Harbaugh won a Super Bowl fairly early in his career has softened what would otherwise be an Andy Reid, maybe Kyle Shanahan dynamic where at some point it's just in everyone's interest to start over again. And I think that conversation doesn't happen in Baltimore because the team has won a Super Bowl with Harbaugh as the head coach. I think if they hadn't won a Super Bowl with Harbaugh, he'd already be gone. But at some point you have to have that conversation. Is it in everyone's best interest to start over again? And that's the problem, because there's a chance Harbaugh is going to go somewhere else and end up being a lot better than the Ravens would be without John Harbaugh there.
Yeah.
So that's part of the risk. It's the Justin Tucker mindset all over again. Yeah, hey, maybe we need a change, but what happens to us if we make a change, and what happens for the guy that we change out? Does he go somewhere else and end up even better? Does he end up with a team that comes in and kicks our butt every year? Does he land with the Browns, for crying out loud? Is he the guy who finally turns around Cleveland, and now we got to deal with 3 teams in the division, not 2, that are a constant threat to us and what we're trying to accomplish?
Boy, I'd be stunned if John Harbaugh would take that job, but I get it. I completely get what it is that you're saying. And
if he'd get pushed out by the Ravens,
Yeah,
don't you think he'd relish that opportunity?
I agree with you, but knowing John, I just feel like the circumstances and like dealing with Jimmy Haslam just feels like something that he would say, "Nah, I'm good. I've had it too good. I'm not taking that at this point in my life." But I get what you're saying, right? Like, does that get mitigated by I want to shove it up your ass? Like, that's the
maybe John Harbaugh is one of the few guys that can sit down with Jimmy Haslam and tell him, here's your foam finger.
Right.
Just don't be a fan and let the people who know what they're doing run the football team.
Boy, you'd like to think. I don't know. It's like watching this situation in New York right now, Mike. Right? Like, God.
But that's what Woody Johnson needs too.
Yeah,
he needs somebody who will tell him to sit down and shut up, go count your money, right?
Right.
And let the grown-ups handle the football team.
Mike Florio, obviously on our way home, available again. What else can we plug for you, my friend?
Well, I still have those mob books out there, Father of Mine and Son of Mine. Those are very cheap on Amazon as well, and I'm working on the third book in the Father of Mine series. I never intended it to be a series, but what happens is I sit down to the computer and I start typing, and off it goes. And I'm about 200 pages in, about 43, 44 chapters. They're all short, but crafting another story. I have no idea where it's going to go. I like where it's gone so far, and I love that journey of just kind of letting your fingers take you wherever they do. And it's like the story reveals itself as you're writing it. It's a great feeling. And that's why I love doing it. It's a nice break from cranking out football content that becomes irrelevant by the next day. This is something that can last a little bit. Somebody can trip over the book. They can read it. They can enjoy it. And again, they're not very expensive. $2.99 for On Our Way Home, $3.99 for Father of Mine, $4.99 for Son of Mine. All ebooks available at Amazon, print editions available as well. Great Christmas gifts, easy, quick. They show up fast. You give them to people. You've satisfied your obligation, and you move on.
Happy for you, man. It's a fulfilling feeling, man. I always appreciate you. Thanks for taking the time for us. Let's talk again real soon, all right?
Thanks, guys.
That's Mike Florio, the man behind Pro Football Talk. Appreciate him taking the time for us. Yeah, I really would be stunned by like just knowing what I do know about John Harbaugh. It's similar to the Brian Billick thing. Like, Brian Billick had opportunities after he was fired. He just said, I'm not going to go to places where I don't think it's where the circumstances aren't right. And I think ownership is at the top of that list. Appreciate Mike Florio taking the time for us. Drew had to duck out. He had to take his daughter, deal with something with his daughter. It's fine. Everything's fine. It's not a panic. It's not a. He just had to deal with getting his daughter to school. That's what he had to deal with. So that's where he is. Appreciate Drew stopping by. As always, drewsmorningdish.com is the website for him. At It's a Hooded 4-Iron on Twitter is how you follow him. All right. This man, Griffin, real quick, can you tell everybody about Live Casino and Hotel, please?
$7 in free slot play for every touchdown scored during home games at Live Casino, during home games for Baltimore and Washington,
right.
Football teams, that is. $7 in free slot play for Live Rewards members who have their card inserted correctly into the slot machine, any slot machine on the floor, and are actively playing, but once those touchdowns score, $7 in free slot play. At Ronald Mills, must be 21. Please pay responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
So our next guest had in the last couple of years settled into the role of being a number one Ravens fan, in part to combat his friend and co-host Nick Wright. I happened to see the other day that on First Things First, he's a little trepidatious about his beloved Baltimore Ravens. He's our friend Chris Broussard, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Chris, it's Glenn in Baltimore. Good to catch up again, man. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning.
Hey, man, it's always fun to be on, so let's do it.
Yeah, I think I understand what you're feeling, which is the same thing that all of us are feeling. It's 11 games into the season. There's no, like, hey, these are things that you can work out anymore. Like, this is who you are. Like, you can't hide from it, and particularly the penalties. Like, it's bonkers that this is still a thing that continues to be this significant of a problem for an NFL team, an otherwise good NFL team, 11 weeks into a season.
No, there's no question about it. And I said this on the air the other day. Obviously, I've watched the Ravens, fairly closely, over the years. But since I've been picking them to win the Super Bowl, and as you pointed out, to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, I'm really zoned in on everything. And, man, they're exasperating to root for because they beat themselves.
Yep.
And a lot of people are saying it, like the only team that can beat the Ravens is them. They can beat themselves. And they do it, man. Like you said, the penalties, they lead the league. They had 12 on Sunday. Obviously, last year in that championship game against the Chiefs, that was a huge problem. And to me, I'm sorry, that's coaching, because that's an undisciplined team. That's a team that's not prepared, a team that's not locked in. And for that to still be an issue shows me that there's a problem there. And I think Harbaugh is a very good coach, but you cannot have your team – when you play the Chiefs or be it Buffalo, whoever you might meet in the playoffs, deep into the playoffs, you're not going to have any room for error. And penalties are errors, and they kill you. Everybody has a few. But when you have 10, 11, 9 at critical times, and some of them are avoidable penalties, false starts, roughing the passer, unsportsmanlike conduct, things like that, that's not a disciplined football team.
I can't disagree with any of those things, right? And I can't pretend like it's an anomaly either. Like this is kind of your DNA at the moment. I still don't know ultimately if that matters. Like the thing I keep coming back to, Chris, is that like that doesn't make me say I don't think they can win a Super Bowl. I think they can. I think their margin for error is really small, and that's where these things become problematic, right? Like the defense was better against the Steelers, but I don't have great faith in the defense. It really does feel like it's either Lamar Jackson is Superman or you're not winning. And Lamar Jackson wasn't bad necessarily against the Steelers, but he wasn't Superman. And they only lost by 2, but they lost. And that's the problem that you're dealing with.
Yeah, and I mean, let's say, like you said, Lamar wasn't great. He was off. Obviously, he's been passing the ball great this year, but he was off Sunday. But to your point, he did play well enough for them to win, and they should have won. Again, Justin Tucker, who I don't know what in the world has happened to him, but him missing those 2 field goals and you lose by 2 points. Tucker is hard to figure out, and I think this is the case with any kicker, because you don't know how much of it is mental. And once it really becomes mental, I mean, it's a mental game for all players, but for kickers especially, because every time they step out there for a field goal, not so much an extra point, but for a field goal, it usually is like life or death. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if they don't make it, it's going to be a killer. And that's what you saw with Tucker. He really hasn't been the same since everything went down in Kansas City with Travis Kelce. I hope that's not in his head, but he better start showing that he's the old Justin Tucker very soon, because he will be critical. That's one of the positives for Kansas City is when they have Harrison Butker healthy, they know all they need to do is like get to the other team's 40, and then you're going to get at least 3 points. And it used to be the case with Tucker, but it hasn't been this season.
He is Chris Broussard. He is with us here on GCR. Chris, let me stay on Justin Tucker for a second, because it's such a nuanced question. What do you do? Because the easy thing right now is, well, you're not cutting Justin Tucker, right? Like that would be crazy. You'd be out $7 million in dead cap space next year, and he could sign with somebody in 2 weeks and then beat you in the playoffs because like he's Justin Tucker. But at the same time, he is kind of costing you games at a job where you need to have someone. This is your one job. You've got to be able to do it. So, like, how long is the rope? Is it you give him 2 to 3 more games? Is it he's got to get the rest of the season because you're just not pulling somebody off the street and having more confidence in it? We're not used to these kinds of issues in Baltimore, man. Like, we don't know how to talk about it.
Yeah, and you heard Harbaugh say he's watched him in practice. He looks great. And again, that's what's tough with kickers. You know, practice is so different for them. There's no crowd. There's no pressure. You know, it's completely different than in a game. So I hear everything you said about he's a legend. You can't really cut him. But I would watch him for these next few games. And if you're in games where, now, look, they got some tough games. The Chargers are going to be tough. But I was going to say, if you're in a game where you have a little cushion, you can put him out there at times and just see how he's looking from distance and 50-plus yards and things like that. But if he falters over the next, say, 3 games, I mean, you may not have a choice. Now, I don't expect him to do what he did on Sunday. I would be surprised if he goes out there and misses 2 very makeable field goals. But if he does do stuff like that over the next few games, I think you have to at least start doing your due diligence and seeing if anybody else is out there that you trust more.
I had said before, I had no problem. They signed a kicker to the practice squad today and said, look, man, we're telling you, if it doesn't work out, you got 2 games before the bye, this is going to be our kicker, and you got to deal with that.
Yep.
I got no beef with that because, again, this has got to work. Like, it's that simple.
I don't either, because everybody, of course, people that don't like the move may say, well, this puts more pressure on Tucker. You know, he's looking over his shoulder. That's the life of a kicker, though. It might not be pressure from a backup, but it's pressure, just like I said, when you step out there, it is typically always pressure on you, major pressure. And so I'm fine with putting that on him and seeing how he handles it.
Chris, the other thing that I wanted to bring up is, as much as we're concerned about the penalties, and as much as you're right about the lack of discipline, and we could say it's not a smart football team, whatever you want to say, I still struggle with, but do I definitively know they're not as good as the other contenders in the AFC? And I can't say that, right? Like, there's nothing about what I saw from the Steelers that says to me they're definitively better than the Ravens. They made the bigger plays, for sure, in that game, but I don't think they're better than the Ravens. As much as we're all saying the Bills are now the team to beat, the Ravens just steamrolled the Bills. Like that, it wasn't even competitive, that game. And, they were a toe away from being a Chiefs team that we all think is vulnerable. Like, it's difficult because, as frustrated as I am, I can't convince myself that they don't still have as good of a chance as any of these other contenders do in the AFC.
No, I'm with you. I mean, like you said, they steamrolled Buffalo. So some of this is styles make fights. And obviously Pittsburgh has a style that's given the Ravens some trouble, particularly Lamar. But I really look at it as Ravens-Chiefs. And they have got to get over this hump. A lot of people have said, I've called Patrick Mahomes Jordan-esque. And is he keeping a lot of these great quarterbacks from winning Super Bowls? And Lamar's got to get over Mount Mahomes, and I think they can. But, again, you have very little room for error. The thing is, the defense, and you brought it up earlier, I look at that. I think the things that the Ravens struggle with are fixable. Like you said, the penalties, this is just who they are, and I get that a lot of people might say that. To me, those are fixable. Penalties are, especially self-inflicted ones, are fixable. You're going to hold here and there, that's fine. But some of these things are fixable. The defense is strange just because I know they lost a couple of guys, but the defensive backfield is essentially the same from last year. And they were strong last year defensively, and this year they're struggling again. That seems to me to be fixable. They might not get back to being a top 5 defense like last year, but can they be top half of the league? Sunday was encouraging because, look, Pittsburgh is not an offensive juggernaut, but they have been scoring a lot of points with Russell Wilson. And they shut them down, gave up no touchdowns. That was encouraging. They obviously made some changes, bringing in Washington a little more for Williams, and Trey White played some. So, maybe they're getting their groove there, but I know they just signed Desmond King, and I'm not expecting a ton from him, but I like the fact that they're not just kind of overlooking the defensive struggles. They're going out trying to make some moves, making some changes in personnel here and there. And so I like that, and I just think that if they can improve the defense, and just cut down the penalties to where you're not killing yourself with self-inflicted ones, then I like their chances against anybody.
Chris, I want to run by you. I'm sure you saw this morning that Adam Schefter tweeted that Ray Lewis is a candidate at Florida Atlantic. They might try to go the Deion Sanders route, and there have been some varying reports about whether or not that's completely legitimate, but it's out there. I just wonder what you think about the idea of, would Ray Lewis make a good coach? Is the Deion Sanders, he's trying to emulate Deion Sanders the right thing for teams to do, and can he be that? I just want to get your thoughts on that.
Did you say Ray Lewis as a head coach?
As a head coach. The report from Adam Schefter was that he was being considered to be Florida Atlantic's next head coach after they fired Tom Herman.
Yeah, look, I think college is it's obviously Deion started, with kids, but Florida Atlantic isn't a bad situation. I would not bring in Ray with no experience virtually to, a Florida State or a major program, but a Florida Atlantic where he can try to build them into something. You can see, okay, I'm sure he's a culture setter. We all know that from what he did as a player. But you get to see how good of a coach he is, what type of staff he picks, how is he with the X's and O's, how is he in-game management, things like that. So I think it's a good start for Ray. I would have no problem hiring him for a job like that. And like Deion started, Jackson State and then obviously moved up to Colorado. So, yeah, I'm fine with that. Ray obviously is a very strong personality. That's one of Deion's strengths. Ray has instant credibility with players, another one of Deion's strengths. And, players have to respect him. And he's tough and old school, too, and I like that. So I think Deion's been great. I think the Raiders looks like a place Deion could end up. I think Dallas should be interested in him. So, a lot of these ex-players, look at Dan Campbell, ex-player with the Lions, D'Amico Ryans, ex-player with the Texans, and they've gone there and really done well as coaches.
It's really interesting, right? Because those guys, in fairness, did kind of work up, right? Like those guys did have, assistant jobs and still work their way.
Yep.
Like it is a fascinating question now of how much that matters versus this is someone who's just so charismatic. Like in the NBA, they're willing to hire guys that don't have coaching experience, right? And give them head coaching jobs. Is that maybe a way that football teams should consider? Because it's just always been you've got to work your way up in becoming a head coach in football.
I think football is different. And I don't think you can just, like you said, you're right, Larry Bird, Mark Jackson, Steve Kerr, a lot of guys have just no coaching experience. They become NBA coaches, and they do a great job. That can't happen in football. Remember Jeff Saturday last year with the Colts? Now, I think Jeff Saturday, over time, with experience, working as an assistant, maybe a coordinator, could eventually be a good head coach. But there is no way in the NFL you can step in with no experience and be a great head coach. I think in the NFL, coaching is more important than any other league, any of the major, the three major sports. And I see no way. Now, that's why I said you can start them off at a smaller college, a mid-major like a Florida Atlantic. That's fine. But to the NFL, no. And Deion has paid his dues in college by being a head coach at smaller programs. So, yeah, I do not see that ever becoming the case in football. It's just the staffs are larger. There's so much more responsibility. In-game coaching is so much more technical than baseball and basketball. There's no way I see it happening in the NFL.
Obviously, it's at Chris_Broussard. Chris, what all else can we plug for you?
Well, Instagram, Twitter, all the social media. First things first, 3 to 5 p.m. on FS1, of course.
Always appreciate you, man. Let's do this again. Let's see how the next few weeks play out, and then let's catch back up and see where we're all at as Ravens fans in that moment.
Yeah, hit me up anytime.
Always appreciate you, dude. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Yeah, later.
Chris Broussard from Fox Sports 1 with us here on GCR. All right, Drew brought it up, so we come back in. I'm gonna play we'll play the Ben Roethlisberger clip that he was talking about, and some of you are just going over the top, so I'm gonna respond to it in the most appropriate way that I possibly can. Today's show also brought to you by Project Game Day. It is back coming Monday night. We will be with you over at PressBoxOnline.com/GameDay. Myself, Rita, Femi, KZ, Stecca, the whole crew. PressBoxOnline.com/GameDay. Come hang out for Project Game Day this coming Monday night. It is a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
Visit Hartford is bringing you a brand new event this holiday season that the whole family will enjoy. Leidos Field at Ripken Stadium, home of the Aberdeen Ironbirds, will transform into a holiday light experience. You'll be amazed by jaw-dropping light displays, thrilled by a visit to Santa's workshop, and have the holiday time of your life with sleigh rides, a special vendor village, a s'mores-making station, and so much more. Hartford Holidays, new at Ripken Stadium, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, Black Friday through December 22nd. For more information and to purchase tickets, head to visithartford.com.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their amazingly scrumptious, fat, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. Every season is crab season at Costas, so make your plans now by calling 410-477-1975 and reserve your taste of heaven. Sit back, crack some crabs, and watch the Ravens chase down another title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday nights, Costas offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30, and there are nightly specials Monday through Friday. So head on down to the Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at costasinn.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin, and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named #1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll, receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Brooks Dubose profiles Maryland basketball forwards Derek Queen and Julian Reese as the Baltimore-built duo reunites in College Park with hopes of bringing the Terps back to prominence. Also inside, meet college basketball players from all of the area's D1 programs. Press Box is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores, where you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Need a trophy or award that's as unique as the achievement? Look no further than Crown Trophy. With locations in Owings Mills and Gaithersburg, they specialize in custom trophies, plaques, and medals for any occasion. From sports and academic awards to employee recognition and corporate gifts, visit crowntrophy.com today and let them help you create a lasting memory for your school, team, or business. Crown Trophy is a proud supporter of the Maryland Public Secondary Schools Athletic Association. crowntrophy.com.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
All right, back in here on GCR. It is a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of the program. Continue to give me your responses at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter and Facebook. Somebody's winning a $30 gift card to Glory Days Grill. Real quick, just to address, we had to postpone last night's Arthur Millette show. Looking to get Arthur back out on the field, and we will be looking to come up with a new date. And we're not done. This is not, like a cancellation. Look, we're all bummed. We're all bummed. It's a massive bummer. But my goal is to not say, well, we tried, we just can't. That's never my goal. My goal is to do it right. So we're going to try to do it right, and we're going to try to pull it off, and I apologize, but stay with us, and when we've got something, we will announce it, I promise. Appreciate everybody who has worked hard to make the Arthur Millette show possible this year. Now, with that said, a lot of response today. I'll play the clip, not because it's an endorsement, but just to set the stage for what I'm going to say in response. And in response to a couple of people that have reached to us. So Ben Roethlisberger. I believe this is his own podcast that he does.
Yeah, footballing.
Sure.
You never heard of
believe it or not,
footballing?
I haven't spent a lot of time with the Ben Roethlisberger hour. I'm sure it's got great musical numbers. I'm sure that it's wonderful.
He's got Steelers players on all the time.
It sounds like it'd be right up my alley. Here's Ben Roethlisberger on, what is it called?
Footballing.
Isn't he? All right, I don't want to talk. It's not the day. Like, shouldn't his brand be bigger than this? I know he's complicated.
Let's talk about the Steelers.
I understand that.
He's a lifetime Steeler.
Like, that's sort of my point. Like, his brand. We're talking about a guy that won a couple of Super Bowls, right? Like, we're talking about a Hall of Famer. Like,
so you're saying he should be Matt Ryan, instead of Matt Ryan on the CBS.
And I get that not everybody wants to do that, but it just feels like his brand should be bigger than playing to Pittsburgh stereotypes and I'm only for Yinzers.
He loves that time.
Like, my brand is not bigger than this. Clearly, this is my brand. His brand.
Some would argue, is it even?
Yeah, it's fair. You're not wrong. His brand, you would think, should just be, but that's a conversation for another day. It's a whole different thing. All right, this is what just listen.
If I was trying to pinpoint why, I would just say that, and I want to say this with all due respect, right? When you say it with all due respect, I think you can say anything you want.
Right.
Really?
I think.
Anything?
So I think people in the South feel that way.
Oh, well, let me get my notes.
Literally say either bless their heart or with all due respect.
With all due respect, sir.
I'm going to say this because I appreciate this guy. I think he's a really, really good coach. He's a Miami, Ohio guy.
Hey.
But to be honest, I really think that Mike Tomlin's cooking in Harbaugh's kitchen. He's all in that. He's all up in here. Brownies. He's Chef Evan up there.
Oh.
He's Chef Evan up in the kitchen.
Wow, good for you,
just
Coach
cooking.
T.
I think that Tomlin's out coaching him. And it's not just Tomlin. It's not just head and head, but taking a timeout before the 2-point conversion at the end of the game to see what they're in, and then I just think that the way that Coach Belichick used to out-coach certain teams, it feels like that's what we're doing to them. We're just out-coaching them.
So, a couple of responses to this. The first being, even if it's true, and I think it's totally not only possible, I think I would tell you that I think that Mike Tomlin's a better coach than John Harbaugh. Even if that's true, it's still an oversimplification of the story. Why did that suddenly start now? Why, for the majority of the John Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin era, where, frankly, the Steelers were better, why did John Harbaugh out-coach Mike Tomlin then, but not now? Is John Harbaugh a worse coach? Did something legitimately? I'm asking this question. When Lamar Jackson arrived, did John Harbaugh suddenly forget how to coach against the Steelers? Knew how to before, but then suddenly forgot. And I don't ask that question to be trite. I ask it because where there is a point to be made, we then get lost. I think Mike Tomlin's a better coach than John Harbaugh is. But that's I think overall as basketball players, LeBron James is better than Steph Curry. Overall. Is that me saying that I think Steph Curry stinks?
It might be.
No! That's insanity. He's the second or third best basketball player of a generation. It just might be that one guy's better than him. And we get lost in this stuff. Does it matter? This is the argument somebody would use for, here's why you have to move on from John Harbaugh. Okay, well, is Mike Tomlin available? Because if he is, hell yeah, brother. Like, you get to the end of the season, all of a sudden the Steelers are like, yeah, we're done here. And Mike Tomlin calls you up and is like, hey, I kind of want to be the coach there. Well, all right, let's talk. I'm in.
Belichick, is that a...
This is the bizarro world that we live in, where we cling to something that might be true. It might very well be true that Mike Tomlin's a better coach than John Harbaugh. That might be the case. But trying to make that the reason why the Ravens lost the game on Sunday, or the reason why John Harbaugh can't win a Super Bowl, or whatever you want to say in your brain to pacify yourself, there is no connective tissue. I think Mike Tomlin's a better coach than John Harbaugh. But does that explain why Justin Tucker missed 2 kicks on Sunday? Because Mike Tomlin's a better coach than John Harbaugh? Is that what explains that? When John Harbaugh's team in 2014 went into Pittsburgh and beat Ben Roethlisberger and company in the playoffs, like that was that not these same 2 coaches? Like, am I missing? Like, this is the problem. The problem is we convince ourselves that there's some correlation between these 2 things. I think Bill Belichick's the greatest coach of all time. Did he win the Super Bowl every year?
Not every year.
Weird.
Felt like it, though.
It did for a little while, right? But other teams, the Ravens won a Super Bowl during the Bill Belichick era. Did they beat Bill Belichick?
I think they actually beat them in Foxborough. Right?
No, that can't be.
By a touchdown. By 2 touchdowns.
That's crazy because he's the best coach of the era, so clearly they could never beat him, right? Because they aren't as good. Like, this is the nonsense that we spew because we're just, and it's losing replacement theory. That's what we do. And I mean this. Whenever the team loses, we have to well, they only lost because blank. To pacify ourselves. There's a million reasons why the Ravens lost the game on Sunday. A million. I don't know where the difference between Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh is on that list. I don't. Because I don't think I think Mike Tomlin might be a better coach than John Harbaugh, but I think John Harbaugh's top 5. And that makes some people really frustrated. But part of that is, look around the NFL. They all stink. All of them. The thing that we continue to do is, I don't think my guy's good enough. But you can't invent new options. You just come up with, well, whoever it is. Our guy Ken Zales says it all the time. Well, you didn't know who John Harbaugh was. Correct. You're right. I also didn't know how Matt Eberflus was. How's that worked out? The notion that it worked out one time to just hire somebody that nobody had ever heard of and turn him into a head coach versus the millions of times that that's been done that it hasn't been successful is not the evidence that the next one will be successful. It's this thing that we do. We are obsessed with the idea that if you just change this, the results change. And we only say it to make ourselves feel better because the team lost a game. I think Mike Tomlin's a better coach than John Harbaugh. Now what? Now what do we do? Where do we go from there? So do we just shut it down? Do we just say
we can play 2 less games now?
I guess. But this is the problem. The John Harbaugh haters of America are J-O-ing to the tweets that we're sharing about from Mike Florio. They're all, oh man, this is the one. Today's guys, I don't know what to tell you. It's frustrating to lose, man. It sucks. And I do think at some point, as I've said multiple times this week, if it continues to be the Steelers and the Chiefs that beat you, then I do think that becomes a fireable offense. I think the Steelers game in December is massive for John Harbaugh. Massive. Because I do think it becomes a fireable offense. But today, we're just trying to get, again, you are just trying to get your rocks off because this is what makes you horny, is hating on John Harbaugh. I had someone literally tweet. This is an actual tweet that somebody sent and retweeted the quote from Mike Florio. Mo said, 2012 Super Bowl and rookie Lamar Jackson set this franchise back for many years. It's an actual thing that a human being said. Winning the Super Bowl set the franchise back for many years. Do you hear yourself? Like, do you?
Would have been better to only have one Super Bowl right now as a
God.
franchise. Would have been better.
Because if we just didn't win that Super Bowl, we could have a different head coach and
Probably still one Super Bowl in franchise history.
like this thing that we just convince ourselves if you have a generational talent that you are. It takes failure to have not won Super Bowls. Well, how's that going in Cincinnati? Or in Buffalo? Where they might very well win Super Bowls in the future. The same way that they might very well win Super Bowl in the future in Baltimore. But, like, again, this is the galaxy brain stuff that we convince ourselves any old coach would have won a Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson by now. Because
there's a 50-50 chance, you know?
Well, I mean, that's what we do.
He'll
we
either
just
win it or he won't.
Again, step 1, fire coach. Step 2, step 3, win Super Bowl. It's legitimately the way that we operate. And you know, again, some of this is, you know, societal. Some of this is there's deeper pictures here, which none of it is me saying John Harbaugh's perfect. He sure as hell isn't. But this thing that we do where we convince ourselves the Ravens continue to be good year in and year out in spite of the coach because we don't want it to have anything to do with the coach is insanity, man. It's otherworldly. I think players are more important than coaches. I do. I think there's a reason why, you know, the Patriots are never bad with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, but we're bad with Bill Belichick and not Tom Brady. Like, I think that players are more important than coaches. But the notion that any old coach can win with great players is a fallacy. It's just not true. Which doesn't mean there aren't examples. Like, do I know that Brian Billick was a high-level NFL coach? I think he was a good one. I certainly don't think there's an argument for Brian Billick to be in the Hall of Fame, although somebody would have to put his actual accomplishments next to Tony Dungy's, like, and tell me about that, because we're not allowed to say that Tony Dungy's in the Hall of Fame because he was the first black head coach to win a Super Bowl. We have to. It's a very weird bit that we do with that. There are examples of lots of things, but we just traipse into this like world where we have some definitive proof that John Harbaugh's a bad coach, which just ain't true. It's not.
Too bad Woody Johnson's not our owner, you know?
Yeah.
Then
things would be great. If we just always fired coaches. Like the moment that something doesn't look good, like we just fire.
And then fire the GM, and
right?
then try to bench the quarterback.
Fire everybody. Just make fun of him. Might be onto something with the quarterback. Probably.
Well, yeah.
Like,
maybe he would have. I mean, if they had done that week 3
he's
like
not
he wanted
wrong
to,
that the guy
maybe.
stinks. But I get why you're not going to bench him when they wanted. Like, they wanted to bench him like with the season was still.
It was week 3, wasn't it?
Yeah,
or 4 maybe.
Whatever the Broncos game was. I don't remember what week it was because Lord knows I'm not paying that much of attention to the Jets. That was the 10. Was that the 10-9 game? Was that what it was? The Broncos game.
Yeah,
it was in the rain. It was miserable. It's boring. But the take is you got to let the season play out. And there has to be a fireable offense. I'll always come back to that. It's easy for all of us to just want to fire everybody because it's no sweat off of our ass. It doesn't matter to us. If we're wrong, who cares? Whereas the people that are actually, like the things that you guys present as the reason why you'd fire someone, if you did it in your business, you would be laughed out of the boardroom. Well, yeah, we're good, but we're not good enough. That's not how we make decisions. That's not what? It's not the way that it works. You don't present that as your argument. I mean, maybe the dude bros do. I don't know how dude bros, like the finance bros, it might work in that world where they're just like, it's really cool, $1 billion. It might very well be Sean Parker, talking to Mark Zuckerberg. I don't know. Right?
Zuckerberg's got a level head.
I'm not in the dude bro world. But that wouldn't be how a rational person would make that decision. To say, hey, we're constantly successful, constantly good, always profitable, always, but we gotta get rid of that guy. Well, for who? Well, for somebody that's never proven themselves. Oh,
and then best case scenario, they win it in their first 4 years.
Yeah, maybe right, maybe. And I'm not telling you that it won't work. And again, I do think there becomes a fireable offense, like the same thing. If someone is successful as a CEO, but that company has said, we've got to break into Asia. We have to. And no matter what, they're not breaking in on Asia. They're doing well everywhere else, but they can't break in. And that was the goal they were given. Well, then I can see. And you could argue that in that comparison, beating the Steelers and the Chiefs becomes the breaking into Asia, right? That this is, okay, you're great, and we appreciate that. But this is our goal now as a company. As a company, we've got to break into a new market. We've established success, track record. Now we need this. And if you look back and they say, okay, I got a plan for that. And 4 or 5 years into the plan, you've made no gains in Asia, then you might turn around and say, hey, I appreciate all the success that you've had, but that was what we needed to do, and you didn't do it. And that's my parallel for where I'm at with the Chiefs and the Steelers. You got to prove it against those teams. I mean, maybe you don't. Maybe you're going to get through the playoffs and you don't have to face either one of those teams. Yes. That's possible. Super Bowl counts all the same, man.
Go Broncos. Go Bills.
Right?
Go.
And that's just the reality of it. But we're getting to that place. It's not today. We're just frustrated that the Ravens lost. We're pissed off that the Ravens lost to the Steelers. Everybody is. I mean, we all deal with it different ways. And so we get, we fight on game day after the show because everybody's pissed off. Justin Tucker missed 2 kicks. I'm pissed off about it too. Not as much as everybody else is. But we get there because we're all pissed off that the Ravens lost. I get it. But as I keep saying, it's boring. It's all we've got. All we know how to do is fire the coach. Eternally. It's all we know how to do. We don't have conversations about anything else. It's just, they lost the game, fire the coach. Ben Roethlisberger says Mike Tomlin's out coach. He's got to go. What? What? I don't even, if you want to say the penalties are a reflection of John Harbaugh, and that's why you think that you can make Sunday about John Harbaugh, okay. Okay. It's flimsy, but I get it. It's that buck stops here mentality. Maybe he should be kicking more guys. Maybe he should be walking around. And Patrick McCary, you were down. I don't know. That's not the game plan. I know that. I know the game plan is not hold. Part of the penalties this year is we kind of have to acknowledge that while maybe it wasn't as bad as it was in week 1, the offensive line is not the biggest strength of this football team. And that has led to an elevated number of penalties that are related to the offensive line. Does that forgive other penalties? No. But, part of the conversation is, there's been some talk this week. Maybe after the bye, do you switch out McCary for Voorhees again? I don't know. It didn't look great with Voorhees the first time around. I don't know how comfortable you'd be about that. But I get it. The penalties have been a problem, and McCary just he hasn't proven to be that guy. So I understand why it's a conversation. And I'm listening to it. If that can help clean up some of the penalties. But is the trade-off for that you're under more duress? I don't know. I don't have that answer. That's what Ben Roethlisberger has to say on footballers.
Footballing. Footballing.
Hug it, chug it, football. The podcast.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah, there we go. That's okay. Yeah. We'll come back in. We'll get a tidbit. We'll get Tubular to wind things down, as it is a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. Brace yourselves for an unparalleled in-person betting experience at the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbook and Bars in Canton and Towson. Experience the thrill of live betting with Baltimore's only state-of-the-art Vegas viewing TV experience. Choose between their on-site tellers or the convenience of their self-bet kiosks to place your bets. And now stop by the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks in Towson and Canton every Wednesday for a free $10 bet. Just show up, sign up, and get your $10 bet for free. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Go to mdgamblinghelp.org.
Hey, Baltimore, it's number 10, Arthur Millette, and I'm hoping you'll slot us in all season long for the Arthur Millette Show. We will be traveling around the region all season, giving you the chance to get to know me and my teammates. There will be some football talk and a lot more. You can watch this show live on Pressbox's Facebook and YouTube pages and listen every Friday night on 105.7 The Fan. Find out more at PressBoxOnline.com/Millette. The Arthur Millette Show, the only show in town that's a work of art.
Visit Hartford is bringing you a brand new event this holiday season that the whole family will enjoy. Leidos Field at Ripken Stadium, home of the Aberdeen Ironbirds, will transform into a holiday light experience. You'll be amazed by jaw-dropping light displays, thrilled by a visit to Santa's workshop, and have the holiday time of your life with sleigh rides, a special vendor village, a s'mores-making station, and so much more. Hartford Holidays, new at Ripken Stadium, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, Black Friday through December 22nd. For more information and to purchase tickets, head to visithartford.com.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino in Hotel Maryland, at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin, and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. There, you just saved money with Easy Pass, all without slowing or receiving a notice in the mail. Well done, thrifty driver, well done. Get your Easy Pass at DriveEasyMD.com.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
This is good from Dan. Dan says, Glenn, you should create a wheel of cope for how Ravens fans deal after losses. It feels like on day one, it's specifically about whatever the unique thing was in the game. By day two, it's all burn it down. It's a great point. Our coping, on Monday, it's we're pissed off that Justin Tucker missed the field goals. On Tuesday, it's they're a dumb, undisciplined team. By Wednesday, it really has become just fire everyone. That's who we are. It's not a bad idea. We haven't had anything related to that. A wheel of cope after losses, like where the fan base goes. Because, I mean, sometimes it's immediately, but it does. It is funny that by like Wednesday, the focus has become on John Harbaugh. When like I'm not really sure what does John Harbaugh really have to do with how they lost the game on Sunday? Really. I didn't like the call either on the 2-point conversion.
He was the one that was illegally downfield.
That's
every
a great
time.
point.
And,
like that's what happened.
He missed those kicks, and
Dan might be onto something. He might be onto something about the wheel. Like when do we turn it? Because, and is this the final spot on the wheel, or is there another spot after John Harbaugh?
Do you go to DaCosta? Or, like, is that the next level? I mean, I guess we haven't gotten to that point.
No, but it feels like if they lose again, we might. Like it feels if they lose another game,
and then it's time to sell the team.
Then it's burn the whole thing down. It's wild.
Time to relocate. That's what's next.
Do we even need football? I blame Governor Schaefer. How dare he want to bring football back? Let's get a tidbit. Tidbit is brought to you today by the print issue of Press Box, which is available for free at your neighborhood Royal Farms, at the hundreds of locations around town. I mean, we kind of referenced it because I included Canisius in Would You Rather Wednesday, but obviously it was a bloodbath last night in College Park. But it was Canisius, so it doesn't really matter all that much.
Might be a good ball club. You never know.
No, they're definitively not a good ball club.
What were they in the MAC?
I don't know what they were last year. They're 0-7 or something this year. They're 0-6. I don't know what they are. They have not. It's bad. I put it all up because remember, that's what you're choosing. You're watching Jake Paul fights and Canisius basketball games.
Okay, Canisius was 12th out of 13. All right, they've got a chance.
No, they do not. They do not have a chance. Stop saying things for the sake of saying them. They let Jay Young score double-digit points last night.
Wow. Coming after Jalen Young now?
Yeah, Jalen Young. Who I was going to say.
When I kept seeing him.
You thought it was Jameer for a second.
I was like, what the?
Yeah, what happened here? What happened here? Well, did you have Big Ten Network Plus? Were you watching?
No. Well, when I first saw him on the floor, Friday night, I guess, was the first game that I watched.
He did get a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
They were they did not go deep on the bench on Friday night. It was a couple of minutes here or there for everybody.
And I was like, is that 0 Young? What?
Yeah, it was,
or 1? Or was he? What? I think they gave him the same number.
No, he's wearing number 8.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's wearing number 8. But like they played 6 guys on Friday night, which is a concern.
Yeah.
Everybody else got like 3 minutes, and you're like, oh boy, that could be a problem. Anyway, Juju Reese, Derek Queen are on the cover of this print issue. It's available for free at your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of the hundreds of locations where you find Press Box around town, before it makes way for our annual Best of issue, which is soon to come. All right, what you got for tidbits?
What do I have? Where do we want to start? This is
Do you have any of the stats on
what, the 70-point win?
Yeah, because I feel like there were a bunch of
those. I saw a few. So they beat it. So 71 last night. It is the first time since the 2000-2001 season where 2 Division I teams had a game decided by over 70 points, and the largest win by any Big Ten team since 1996. But only Maryland's largest win since 1998. So that could be against. I didn't have this.
No, because it's before 2000, so it could be against. I want to say it was like North Texas or something like that.
Was it definitively? Yeah, I guess a D1. There have been 3 D1 versus D1 games decided by 70 points over the last 9 seasons. Period. Do you have any?
Not a chance in hell.
All 3. So they actually all happened in the last 5 seasons. All 3 have been against Mississippi Valley State before last night.
Poor Mississippi.
Yeah, poor Mississippi Valley State. Although they were what was that? They were down by 2 at halftime against K-State last night.
How about that?
Yeah, the Delta Devils. Earlier this season they lost by 72 to Mizzou. About a week ago, actually.
Who did? Mississippi
Valley State. Yeah. In 2020, so maybe this one shouldn't count.
It doesn't.
In 2020, they lost by 80.
Was it fall or winter? Because it was January of 2020.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It must have been 2020. Yeah, it must have been like that season, like the 2020 season. Fall 2020, because they were playing a non-conference game against Arkansas.
None of that was real.
Lost by 80 to Arkansas. In 2019, they lost by 94 to Utah. Mississippi Valley State.
How is that possible? Like, I don't feel like there's enough time in a 40-minute game. How can you possibly lose by 94?
Yeah, those are the 70-point stats I have. I have for you. We had the manager of the year, of course, last night.
Oh, another catch for you. You had a big night.
Yeah, it was a nice night. Also, Miami, Ohio got a big win for me. That was good. Never betting on Kent State again. I learned my lesson. I decided. He becomes this is the fastest anyone has gone from player to manager, or sorry, not Pat Murphy, but Stephen Vogt.
Right.
Fastest anyone has gone from player to manager of the year ever. He last played in 2022. The prior record was the 2006 manager of the year.
2006 manager of the year. Dave Roberts?
Not Dave Roberts.
He wasn't a manager by then. What am I talking about? He might still been playing at that point. 2006. Mattingly?
Not Mattingly. He was where was he in 2006? As he was with
Boone?
He was the Florida Marlins manager.
Girardi?
Joe Girardi.
Okay.
Had played in 03 and then had won had won manager of the year by 06 for
say
Joe
good
Girardi.
for him, but he's a Yankee, so screw him.
What other manager of the year ones do I have here? This is the third season that both managers of the year were in their first year as a manager of a team. Can you name the last time we had a?
Are you out of your mind? This is really what you're pulling for tidbit.
I want to make sure I go over all the managers of the year.
Yeah,
stuff
sure.
here.
It's very important.
2015 was the last time we had both first year managers.
It requires me to know who was managing
Win
the team
Moy.
in 2015. Again, you'd have to give me the teams. There's no way I know who won manager of the year. This is not something that I stay in.
Chicago Cubs, the Texas Rangers.
So the Cubs is Madden.
Yes, Joe Madden.
And the Rangers is still Washington?
Nope.
The Rangers.
First year, what did the Rangers even do in 2015?
It's not Buck.
No.
I don't know who the manager
Jeff
is.
Bannister.
Oh, yeah, Jeff Bannister.
I
okay.
have
all
almost
right.
no memory of this.
I do vaguely.
Then also 06, Joe Girardi with the Marlins, and in the American League, the Tigers manager.
Leland.
Yes, Jim Leland. So Girardi and Leland in 06, first-year managers, winning manager of the year.
06 was the year they made the World Series, the Tigers, right?
Yeah. Was that
Kenny Rogers pitched for them. Yeah.
And let me make sure. I mean, I guess you're over with the manager of the year.
I just don't have any manager of the year in my. Like, I've got files on a lot of things. Manager of the year is not a file I have.
Cam Jones powered Marquette way over Purdue last night as they pulled away late.
So much for buying into Purdue.
Yeah. First Marquette triple-double since
Dwayne Wade.
Yes, Dwayne Wade in 03.
It seems like a pretty good bet.
He also became the third player in the last 15 seasons, all since 2015. So the third player since 2015 with a triple-double over a top 10 team. Had a
say it one more time.
Third player with a triple-double in a win over a top 10 team over the last since 2015. We had a UConn last year, actually.
A UConn player?
Mm-hmm.
So
against Marquette.
I don't think it was Cam Spencer.
Wasn't Cam Spencer.
So it was Klingon?
Not Klingon. Who did he get drafted by? Rasumi. He got drafted by the Pacers.
I was really hoping it was Klingon because that was the other guy I could remember. Hang on a second.
All right.
Hang on.
Doesn't pull any more.
The problem is I don't know if these guys are still. They could still be on the team.
Yeah.
Newton?
Yes, Tristan Newton.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, well done.
I could not tell you if Tristan Newton was still on the team or if he was
triple-double against Marquette last year for UConn, and then Michigan State, this player in 2015 had a triple-double against Kansas.
So it's after Draymond?
Yes, after Draymond.
Oh God. It was Tum Tum.
No. What's Tum Tum?
Leroy's Nairn or whatever.
Oh,
that guy.
okay.
Yeah, you remember the guy. That guy. I think
he's still trying to play pro basketball. He last played in the NBA in 2022 with the Jazz.
Last played.
But he was the first. But he had a good enough season at Michigan State, first round pick.
He was a first
in 2016.
Pick in 2016. First round pick in 2016. Man, this is not. I don't know. Who was it?
It was Denzel Valentine.
Oh, okay. I do vaguely remember him.
Denzel Valentine.
Right.
Dalton Knecht tied the rookie record last night for 3-pointers made in a game by a rookie. 9 3-pointers for Dalton Knecht. I was going to do that, to how many, what rookies, these names, man.
Oh, good.
One happened last season, rookie for the Utah Jazz. Had 9
Who
threes
was a
in
rookie
game.
for the Jazz last year?
Keontae George.
Oh, right. Yeah, sure.
I don't know if you would. We had 2010 Dallas Maverick.
The hell, man?
It was. I have no clue who it is. Rodrigue Bobois. Do you know who that is?
Sure.
He made 9 threes. He set the record at the time.
Never forgotten.
Yeah. And then the third one it was a Big Ten player, right? Yeah, he played for Indiana.
Okay.
And he was he didn't get drafted though. Yogi Ferrell.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Yogi Ferrell also for the Mavs in 2017 made 9 threes.
So.
So I made it more broad. Give me the top 4 rookies 3-pointers made in the season.
Rookies 3-pointers made in the season.
Top 4.
They're probably all recent.
They are all recent.
Trae Young.
Trae Young is not on there.
That's surprising.
Trae Young is 14th.
That's really surprising.
Only 156 threes.
That's
as a rookie
really, really surprising
for that bum.
Right? How about Steph?
Not Steph. Steph is 9th. At the time, I would have set the record. 166 threes.
Lillard.
Yes, Damian Lillard. In 2012. 2013 had 185 3-pointers as a rookie.
Buddy Hield.
Not Buddy Hield. That's a decent guess. He's 18th though.
Maybe I just need to think bulk more than specialist. Oh man.
Number 1, the only guy to ever make 200 threes as a rookie in a season. Former Iowa Hawkeye.
Keegan Murray.
Yes, Keegan Murray. 206 threes is the record.
I had some money on him to be Rookie of the Year that year. That was a bit of a disappointment.
Well, you set the 3-point record, though.
You don't get any money for that,
well done.
Griffin. Yeah, they don't give you any. Yeah, I had some cash on him as Rookie of the Year.
Another player in the top 4 did this. He had made 184. This is 4th most 3-pointers in a season. Did it last season. With the...
Go ahead.
Charlotte Hornets.
Oh, Miller.
Yes, Brandon Miller. Brandon Miller, 1 behind Damian
again,
Lillard.
These aren't. That's not something you think of as like a specialist.
Yeah,
just
exactly. I think it's just the way.
That's the problem. I was going with specialist to begin with, and then.
And then not. I mean, he was. Did you watch any of the? I don't want to give it away, but he played last night. Had a good game.
Played last night. Had a good game. Oh, Mitchell.
Yes, Donovan Mitchell is 2nd all time. 3s made as a rookie. So there's your top 4: Keegan Murray, Donovan Mitchell, Damian Lillard, Brandon Miller, and then 5th in the 2020-21 season. That's why I cut it off there because I didn't want to make you you don't have to guess something from 2020. A Detroit Piston. I think he's now a Wizard. Yeah, he's now a Washington Wizard, but he's been hurt, so I don't think he's played. Sadiq Bey.
I didn't know Sadiq Bey was a Washington Wizard. I didn't know Sadiq Bey was in the NBA, to tell you the truth.
Those are your top 5 rookies.
Right, that was tough. That was ball busting, bro. That was tough.
Yeah, it was a good one.
All right. Tell me about Live Casino and Hotel.
You get $7 in free slot play at Live Casino every time that a touchdown is scored for Baltimore or Washington during their home games this season. So make sure you get out there. Live Rewards members who have their Live Rewards card inserted into the slot machine are actively playing. Get their prize of $7 in free slot play for every touchdown scored at Rono Mills. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org. or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
I saw this guy from Steelers Depot said, here's an incredible stat. The Steelers beat the Ravens scoring 0 TDs while allowing 2, the 11th team to ever do that. In NFL history, when teams scoring 0 touchdowns and allowing 2 or more had lost 76 consecutive games. And overall are 11 and... 2074. So history, history, baby, history. That's what they got going. That's brutal. All right.
11.
Let's do the thing. Let's get totally tubular.
Have you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches? Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
All right, what we got? Here's what's coming up tonight, totally tubular-wise. More local college hoops this evening, including Towson, fresh off their win over James Madison. They travel down to face Tavon Sadler and Nichols, 7:30 tonight on ESPN+. Coppins at George Mason at 7 on ESPN+. UMES is at Murray State at 8 on ESPN+. Flow Sports, Morgan's at North Carolina A&T at 7. Fox Sports 1, Mount St. Mary's, Georgetown, 8:30. Patrick mentioned that Mount St. Mary's has been playing better. Don't think that's going to make a difference, but maybe the Georgetown team of a couple years ago. Would have had a shot. Big Ten hoops tonight on Peacock, Merrimack and Rutgers at 8 o'clock, San Jose State and USC at 10, and on Big Ten Network, Idaho State and UCLA at 11. That's Big Ten basketball. The Cy Young Award announcements tonight, 6 o'clock on MLB Network. Chris Sale will almost certainly win the National League.
Paul Skeens is up for it. Paul Skeens and Zach Wheeler were the other two finalists.
And then who are the finalists in the American League?
Emmanuel Clase.
Right.
Tarek Skubal's going to win it, right?
Right.
And then I forget. I just saw like a graphic with it.
I don't remember. Whatever.
Hold on. I thought I saw.
Who cares? Action tonight. Ohio Toledo at
Seth
7.
Lugo.
Thank you. Ohio Toledo at 7. That would have been money well spent. At 7 on ESPN2. ESPNU Buffalo Eastern Michigan at 7. ESPN Bulls Bucks 7:30. Knicks Suns at 10. TNT Hurricanes Flyers at 7:30. Predators Kraken at 10. That's also on TNT. That's also on True TV. And TBS for AEW Dynamite tonight at 8. Non-sports. It doesn't matter, though, because you're watching or you're listening to Reed and Glenn tonight from 6 to 9.
Unless, of course, you're tuning in to ABC for the 58th Annual CMA Awards. Wait, so is it CMA? It's just CMAs, or is it CMA Awards? So are you saying the Country Music? Country Music Association. Okay, all right, got it. Make sure it was
Country Music Award Awards.
Yeah. Hosted by our favorites, Lainey Wilson. Luke Bryan.
I know her from her song.
She had a song on the Twisters album that was good. I liked it.
Sure, she's performing
and dating Duck Hodges.
Oh, that's who she's dating?
Yeah. What was that?
She's performing at halftime of the Cowboys game on Thanksgiving. I do know that.
Good.
She's very popular. I just don't know.
I think Shabuzi's doing the Lions.
I believe
game.
That is correct.
Yeah.
I just don't know any of her music. I'm sorry. It's just not my thing.
What was the Twister song? I like the Twister.
Shabuzi.
Can't Take the Home Out of Oklahoma. That was.
Oh, that's her song.
Yeah.
I do know. I think no, that's not what I thought of.
Out of Oklahoma.
Nope, I don't know.
Christina Aguilera's got one on that album too.
Sure, she does. I'm sure all that's true.
Luke Bryan and Peyton Manning's also hosting.
I do know a Shabuzi song. I know the one that everybody else knows.
Peyton Manning's also hosting that with the.
How many hosts do they have for this show?
Luke, Laney, and Peyton.
Sure.
Blake Shelton will be on Kimmel then, along with Ralph Macchio.
Obviously, plugging Wicked, of course.
Right, everyone.
Yes.
Richard Gere will be on Fallon. He's
also plugging Wicked.
He's got this movie called Oh Canada. It's an A24 movie where like he's like he was a draft dodger and he's a filmmaker telling about all the lies and truths of his life or something.
Okay.
Yeah. It looks good. Uma Thurman's in it. Jacob Elordi is in it. Michael Imperioli's in it. Looks solid. But very
Isn't
A24.
Michael Imperioli like actually crazy? Haven't we found out that he's like actually nuts?
I listened to the Talking Sopranos podcast and he was tremendous on it.
Really?
I thought maybe he is kind
I
of.
thought
nuts,
he's done
but
some
like
interviews where he's been a little out there.
I think he's an entertainer.
Okay.
Yeah. I think.
He's a great actor. Obviously,
yeah.
He's phenomenal.
him and Steve Sharippa on the Talking Sopranos podcast was fantastic.
Friend of the program.
Yeah, that's
Steve
right.
Sharippa.
Friend of the
Don't
program.
forget
Steve
that.
Sharippa.
Yeah. Bobby Cannavale.
Yes. Bobby Bacala.
Right, what was I saying? Oh,
you said Bobby Cannavale.
The
He was a real actor. Yeah.
What the hell am I doing? God.
It's
all coming apart.
Everybody's been clamoring for it. They finally got season 2 of Rhythm and Flow on Netflix.
Hell yeah.
The new panel of judges as well. DJ Khaled, Lotto, and Ludacris.
Good. I do love Ludacris.
They're on a mission to discover.
I genuinely love Ludacris.
They're on a mission to discover hip hop's next superstar.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wish them well.
Our Oceans on Netflix
Thank
as
you
well.
For your service, Ludacris.
A very good nature docuseries about the oceans, narrated by Barack Obama on,
when I think
on Netflix.
Oceans.
Barack Obama.
I tell you. Like, who do you associate with Oceans?
And then I guess Wednesday is also
Stereo.
Netflix is they're just going to drop their like Hallmark movie, Christmas movie, The Merry Gentleman.
Ooh. First of all, it's probably better than Red One.
Are we sure?
Probably
It's
is.
so this is a
By
Christmas.
the way, there is something afoot. Rotten Tomatoes apparently changed their audience score. It's now called like the popcorn meter. And somehow Red One is now at 90% on the popcorn meter.
I saw it grossed opening weekend $30 million.
Tanked. I mean, it utterly on a $250 million budget.
Man.
It's an unmitigated disaster.
I got to show my support. I think I got to go out at some point.
Support to who? Who do you
Red
need
One.
to support?
The movies.
Why?
Mr. Movies.
The guy that was running the theater that I went to was like, "You guys are here to see something," and I'm like, "Yeah." He was very excited. We were there. It was a 9:00 showing.
He's
like,
"Sure."
You guys coming to see Red One? We're like, "Yeah." And I was like, "I guess they must have a lot of action for Red One, right?" I walk into the theater. It's 4 of us. 4 of us. No one else walked in.
Well, so this
4
weekend's
of
going to be
us.
Gladiator 2.
Yeah. Oh, this should and Wicked. I mean, this is a big weekend.
Yeah, you're right.
This is a big weekend for the movies.
Yeah, Red One's not going to make it back,
I think
unfortunately.
Red One
I don't
might
think.
be on the way out.
But Merry Gentleman is it's a Christmas Magic Mike essentially, where this girl save her parents' small town nightclub. She comes home and does an all male Christmas themed, essentially strip club. That's what it turns into. Looks might have Chad Michael Murray. I don't know if anyone's into Chad Michael Murray, but that is what he's up to now, doing the Merry Gentleman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mick Cannon still needs money to support, I guess, all his children, so he's hosting a cheesy Prime Video, Amazon Prime Video game show that I have no idea what the premise is, but they're giving away people Amazon products on wishlist games. So,
okay.
If you want to know what Nick Cannon's up to.
Sure. Very
I think
good.
that's everything.
Very good. All right. Thanks today to Drew. Thanks to Mike Florio. Thanks to Chris Broussard. We'll get it all up in the greatest hits section of the
Here we go.
tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Tomorrow on the program, we'll make picks with KZ.
Yes, Anthony Sanders.
Anthony Sanders is joining us, Orioles' first base coach. We'll be checking in. We'll have various things to talk about with him, stuff and things. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Live Casino and Hotel. Visit Hartford, Cruise, Maryland, Crown Trophy, Easy Pass, Royal Farms, Green Turtle Sportsbooks in Towson and Canton. HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, the Costa Sin MSAA, the Baltimore Orioles, Maryland Sports, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Wednesday evening. Go Towson, Morgan, Coppin, Hoops, Duke sucks.